Hi, everyone. Good evening. Carl Steinbeck here from San Antonio, Texas. And I see online here we have helping out Brother John right now in Hawaii. And we also have Food is Love, also from Texas. So thanks for supporting. And we have tonight the 11th year mark. This was exactly 11 years ago that Dan Markell did not survive the brutal slaying that happened actually the day before on the 18th of July. So he was gunned down in his garage around 11:30ish in the morning, and he survived about 13 some hours. So he actually made it to being the 19th of July when he expired after this savage, brutal slaying against him. And this is something that we've been covering on this channel for a couple years now, and there's been progress being made against these Adelsons, the Florida Adelsons, who are behind this attack. And it's very slow, but it is making incremental progress. So they have already Charlie Adelson, the operational planner behind the murder, convicted, and he got convicted after 9 years of this happening, around 9-year mark. And his mom, Donna Adelson, was arrested less than a week after he was convicted. So they've had this slow approach. Until one gets convicted, we're not going to even attempt to prosecute the other one. But Donna was trying to flee the country with her husband, Harvey. And as a result, now she's been locked up in Leon County in Tallahassee, Florida, the very dreaded place the Adelsons of Florida despised, thought of as like some country bumpkin, run-down, ramshackle kind of place nobody wants to live. It's off the grid of civilization kind of thing. That's how Wendi looked at it. That's also she described it in her book. And hopefully that book, her book commentary, will come into light here in this trial like it did for Charlie's. So far, Judge Everett's kept it out, which I think is a very bad ruling. And I think hopefully they'll ask for reconsideration and they'll allow that book parts that discuss and reflect on Wendi's inner hatred for Tallahassee that are permeating through that book. Also, the hatred of the husband in that book as well is loud and clear. So that's where we're at. Where Donna's trial is coming up here now on the 19th of August, and she's 75 years old, folks. Those of you that are not following this case, those of you who are coming on from the Karen Reed case, this is really a bizarre case. I think it's reeks of many things, and I think what really gets people very upset about this case is the way Wendi Adelson's been walking free, and the way she's denied visitation for the boys, and the way that she was able to so far outsmart the prosecutor, the main prosecutor there, Jack Campbell, in that part of Florida there for the district he covers. So I think that with her again testifying, keep in mind every time she's been forced to testify under order of a subpoena, it confers limited immunity for the testimony, what she says, and anything they can derive from her testimony that the police, law enforcement didn't know before she testified. But she's never actually out and out incriminated herself, where she says, yeah, I did it, or yeah, I knew about it. But through her incredulous way she answers questions, the way we constantly find her speaking falsehoods, I absolutely know that she was part of this, and including her behavior leading up to the time that Dan was savagely killed, as well as the day and the time after that. Also up to this day, the way the visitation has been, for the most part, been gutted from what the honorable Markells have had to suffer through this, not only just losing their son Dan, but also losing, for all intents and purposes, the chance to know the two surviving sons of Dan. And I won't say their name out of respect, but those boys are pretty much facing a lot of crazy stuff. They've been told lies all the time about the Markell family, no doubt. They're told that they're persecuted falsely by the Tallahassee legal system. And what do we have now? Their Uncle Charlie, convicted, spending time up in the prison in South Dakota, doing life without parole. And he's not able to come back to Florida because there's too many threats on him there. And so he would not survive. He'd probably been dead by now if he was not transferred out of Florida. So that's what they have for their Uncle Charlie. And then their grandma who was one of the main go-betweens between Wendi and Charlie to try to really ratchet up this effort to get rid of the forced ties that Wendi has to Tallahassee. In her mind, Wendi needed to be in Miami no matter what it took. And so that's how this thing came out, where they at any and all costs, the boys and Wendi had to make it back down to South Florida, there to the Miami South Beach area. And even if that included killing their grandson's father, Dan Markell. So this is how this whole thing came into being. And it was a long time planning in the works. They tried to kill Dan a year before as well, but that didn't work out too well. And they wasted $50,000, or that's what we have from reports of that being the case. So anyway, they actually found some bumbling knuckleheads from Miami there to go up there and do this wicked deed. And so they're having to pay for the consequences of this. But one thing that permeates through all this legal system, what we've seen here, is a hatred that is coming from the Adelsons, and it's very, very pronounced, the way they absolutely hate the Markells. The Markells are so sweet, and they have no hatred. They have no cruel hatred towards even the people that killed their own sons. So they're waiting on the legal system to do them justice. They have utmost patience that I and most of you here as listeners that have been following this case would never have. And the way, like I say, they've had to suffer through the denial of visitation. Visitation is only accommodating in a very limited circumstance, because of when court is coming up, when he can falsely say that, no, the boys have unfettered access to the grandparents, Phil and Ruth Markell. And that's not what's really happening behind the scenes. But so I thought, what do we do tonight is cover two things that I've not actually covered before. I've talked about them in detail, but I've not actually shown the videotape. So I want to show the videotape. First of all, if you're not familiar with the ongoing harm, the cruel harm done to the boys and to the surviving Markells, I've mentioned Dan's parents, but also he has a sister, Shelley. They're up in Canada with her and her husband and their 3 kids, I believe it is. So the family tree has effectively been completely eliminated for all intents and purposes. So let's hear what Phil Markell said in court after Charlie was convicted. It wasn't a good audio feed of it, so my brother John went out to undisclosed location and was able to have him restate what he read to the court. He was doing it through Zoom or some technology like that, and because we didn't get a good audio feed on that, John went ahead, I should say, and got this recording. So I'm going to play that for you here. And so that really puts into focus that this was really a personal attack. This is really something that was born out of sheer unmitigated hatred. And this is the kind of hatred you're going to see of this sweet man here, this kind of hatred you see that's going to come out in Donna's trial. And so this is going to help. This kind of hatred that you see against these sweet people is going to be picked up on by the jury, and that's going to help convict Donna. So let me go ahead and get this started here. So this is Phil Markell, Dan's father. He said this was, let's see, he originally gave this statement in court, to the court, when was that, 20 months ago? And I think about 5 months later, John went and got this videotaped. So here we go.
This victim impact statement, as I did at the end of Charlie's trial. There were some technical problems with the original video portion of the recording, and the audio was not very clear. So I'm doing this so that one day my 2 grandchildren, Ben and Lincoln, can watch and listen to this victim impact statement on behalf of our Markell family. Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Phil Markell. I'm Dan Markell's father. Dan, my only son, was born on October 9th, 1972 in Montreal, Quebec. During that time in Quebec, husbands were not allowed to actually be in the delivery room during the child's birth. However, since the obstetrician was a close friend of ours, I was allowed to experience the most amazing moments, the birth of my son. I will never forget the emergence of his head and then the shoulders of an NFL fullback, a boy of 10 pounds. There I was holding in my arms this gift of life, a bundle, my bundle of sheer joy. From the time he was a child, my son had tremendous energy, intelligence, and great warmth. Dan had a vibrant, fun-loving personality, and he lived life to the fullest. Dan loved to socialize, dance, cook, entertain, and play sports. And he dedicated himself wholeheartedly to everything that he did. He would always look to do his utmost to improve and achieve better results in every activity he participated in. The desire of improvement and commitment to excellence was a defining characteristic of his short life. I fondly remember Dan taking skiing, I fondly remember taking Danny skiing up the hills in the Laurentian Mountains where we lived when he was 2 years old. He rode up the mountain between my legs, holding on to the T-bar, and then coming down the hill, yelling with great joy, "Faster, Daddy, faster." Then, as he grew a little older and he played hockey at the local parks, to improve his skating skills, he requested to take skating lessons with a local coach from Russia, who had this reputation of being a very tough coach. Dan persevered, and after every hockey lesson, he came off the ice with a red face and totally out of breath, because he always gave it his all. At about the age of 13, Dan developed the idea that he was going to Harvard University. He discovered that the acceptance requirements for Harvard were not only good grades, but also work for the community and do charitable work. To achieve these goals, he revived his high school newspaper, became the newspaper's editor and business manager. He performed charitable deeds. He volunteered in the community. And after years of hard work and determination, Danny was accepted to Harvard. Dan later graduated from Harvard magna cum laude. He went on to study at Hebrew University in Jerusalem for 1 year, and then he earned a Master's of Philosophy and Political Theory from Emmanuel College at the University of Cambridge in England. He returned afterwards to Harvard Law School to earn his law degree and went on to become an extremely successful lawyer and an influential legal scholar. Dan served as a law clerk for a federal judge. He worked as an associate at a prestigious law firm in Washington, D.C., and then he secured a prestigious teaching position at FSU College of Law. In just a few short years, Dan became full tenured law professor before the age of 41. He co-authored a book and published many articles in highly regarded law reviews, journals, and newspapers like the New York Times. Dan's work was influential, and he gave lectures and presented at universities all around the world. Although Dan was fond of his Canadian roots, he was very dedicated to the FSU Law School and the Tallahassee community. He was recognized as a scholar who contributed and made a difference in this world. While Dan's career was important to him, family meant everything to Danny. His marriage produced two boys, Benjamin and Lincoln, who were his absolute world, the loves of his life. Dan arranged his entire life around these two boys. He would arrange his teaching schedule, travel plans, exercise, activities all around his desire to spend as much time as possible with the two boys. He would meet them for breakfast at their preschool. He would sit in the middle of a circle with Benjamin and Lincoln and all their classmates and tell them stories, read, sing songs, all this as they ate breakfast. Benjamin and Lincoln were his pride and joy and meant everything to him. Danny made sure that he and the boys came to Montreal and Toronto to attend every family function and affair and visit with all the extended Markell family, including grandparents, uncles, aunts, and many numerous cousins. Despite the distance, Dan felt that the boys had to know and be a part of this family. Dan also made sure that he and the boys participated in the Tallahassee community and were involved with the local synagogue and neighborhood. Danny left home at the young age of 17 to go to Harvard, but he always came home for summer vacation, for holidays, and all family functions. Danny and I, despite the fact that we lived quite far apart, regularly communicated by text, email, and phone calls. And despite the physical distance, as time moved on, we grew ever more closer. At Dan's suggestion, we would talk and have a meal together at the appointed day and time. We each would prepare our meals, set our tables, and with a tablet in the middle, over Skype, we would sit together and enjoy each other's company for a couple of hours despite the actual distance. Dan's life was abruptly cut short, and he was forever taken from me, from his boys, and the rest of our family, and all his many friends and colleagues. My life has been in a total disarray since Danny's murder. Many nights I wake up in the middle of the night in a terrible sweat with thoughts of Dan's murder and all that has happened. There is not a single day in my life since Danny's death that in one way or another he does not enter my thoughts, and I miss him with all my heart. I'm constantly reminded of Dan's murder and his absence. When I meet new people, the topic of discussion always comes up, and they ask whether I have children. How do I respond? It's difficult to put into words the heinous acts that Dan took away from us and the unthinkable pain that I must live with every single day. Losing a son or a daughter is something I wish nobody should have to experience. It is not in the order of nature. Danny is never coming back. We continue to hope and pray for justice, the return to normalcy of seeing and playing a vital role in the lives of our two grandsons, Benjamin and Lincoln. It's been a number of years since I last wrote a victim impact statement, sharing how Danny's death has affected me. Despite our persistent efforts, we still do not have a real relationship with Danny's sons, Ben and Lincoln.
Unbelievable. Evil, unbelievable evil.
Visits are very limited and carefully controlled. For 6 years, we were denied any and all visits with the boys or any communication whatsoever. In the last 2 years, I've permitted 2 60 to 90 minute supervised visits with them. This limited contact is incredibly painful, and I feel like we have been cut out of their lives. Not only have I lost my son, but I have effectively lost 2 of my grandkids as well. Even their family names have been changed from Markel to Adelson. While we worked hard to help introduce a new bill in the state of Florida, known as the Markel Act, this gives grandparents important rights. But unfortunately, our relationship with Ben and Lincoln has not been materially improved. As this bill was coming to fruition, there was a lot of negative publicity in the press and media about Dan's ex-wife, Wendi. In my opinion, Wendi was focused on improving her public image and as a result extended an invitation to Benjamin's bar mitzvah. Ruth and I were invited to attend only the ceremonial part of this important stage of a Jewish boy's life, and we were not invited to participate in any reception typical of this type of celebration. But this invitation opened the door to one of the last limited visits described above. In order not to overwhelm Ben and Lincoln on this important day, we asked to arrange a meeting for the bar mitzvah, before the bar mitzvah, in order to make things easier on the boys, who we haven't been allowed to visit in years. We were able to arrange a brief 90-minute supervised visit with Ben and Lincoln a few weeks before the bar mitzvah. However, immediately after our brief visit, Charlie was arrested, and Wendi rescinded our invitation to this bar mitzvah. At the time, she said that they were going to either postpone or completely cancel the bar mitzvah, but neither of these things happened. Instead, my understanding is the Adelsons went on to have the bar mitzvah ceremony and the party, all without the Markell family's presence or participation. Missing out on this important moment in Ben's life was incredibly painful. After so many years without Danny, we had hoped to make progress in forging a consistent relationship with his sons, but this still has many challenges. This is the year that Lincoln turned 13, the age of bar mitzvah. As yet, we have not been informed if and when he will have a bar mitzvah, nor if we will be invited to participate in this very important time of Lincoln's life. I have very little hope that we will be allowed to participate. This important cycle event. Danny's murder brought his life abruptly to an end for no sensible reason and has affected a countless number of people. The legal community is deprived of Dan's wisdom and ideas, which made the world a better place. Dan's students are deprived of experience of having Dan as a brilliant professor and caring mentor, showing them a path to their future. Dan's colleagues can no longer benefit from his friendship, his insights, his scholarly discussions, and debates. Ruth and I have been deprived of our son, who was taken away from us so suddenly and totally against life's schedule. Ben and Lincoln must go through life without their father, who loved them with all his being. The boys have been deprived of their father's entire family. After Dan's murder, we have no idea of what these two boys know or have been told about Danny's death. I truly believe they've been brainwashed in all these years from the ages of 3 and 4 years of age to the present day.
Right.
I also have no idea what the boys know of us, the Markell family, any history, and especially how much we all love them and how we wish they were an active part of our family. Both Ruth and I are approaching 80 years of age. At this moment, we are healthy, but one does not know what tomorrow brings. The wheels of justice turn very, very slowly, but so far, at least, they are still turning. We are very, very grateful to the Tallahassee law enforcement, to the state attorney, and all their staff, to all our relatives and friends, including the hundreds of Danny's friends and colleagues around the world, for their constant support over these long 10 years. To all the podcasters who work so hard to keep alive this unbelievable story. We are still waiting for Benjamin and Lincoln to have a more normal relationship with the Markell family as we wait in pain and true anguish. The Adelson family, in particularly Charlie Adelson, has been a major cause of our heartbreak and the murder of our son, Danny, and the loss of our 2 grandsons. I have suffered tremendously, and we as a family continue to suffer. It is satisfying to see justice being done, and it would be appropriate to ask the maximum sentence for the perpetrators of Danny's murder. Thank you. Today is a good day.
Okay, that was recorded January 24th of 2024. So that's when my brother John did that. Thanks, John. And let me see here. I want to then go to what I'm going to cover next, which is Wendy's testimony at Charlie's trial. So this was just about 21 months ago where Wendi testified. And so this is the kind of testimony you're going to see at her own mom's trial. So this is the kind of questioning you're going to see. I think it's going to be more detailed than what we got from the prosecutors the last time. So let's go through and review this testimony, and you're going to see for yourself how absolutely destroyed as a witness. Wendi imploded on herself. She was just over and over and over again, could not give a straight answer, and it was constantly deflecting. And you look at this direct exam testimony, and you're going to see it for what it is, which is anybody looking at this. We've already covered her interview with the Tallahassee Police Department last weekend, and now we're going to her direct testimony here today from the last trial. Keep in mind, she's testified 2 other times before this. The prosecutor really didn't go into much detail, and they didn't really question her hard on much of anything in the first 2 trials. This last one with her brother Charlie, Georgia went into a lot more details, made points out that were abundantly clear that she was lying. And so you'll see it here that Wendi basically did herself in. And Wendi, keep in mind, by all these different lies she said, the immunity is off the table, and they can prosecute her for perjury. And so hopefully that's something they'll add to the murder charge that they will pursue. Hopefully right after Donna's convicted, they'll arrest and hold her in Leon County Jail there like her mom has been for the last 20 months. So let's go ahead and jump right into her direct exam here.
State, please call your next witness.
State
Wendi Adelson.
Each time she testifies, she dresses similarly with a blue dress type outfit.
Ma'am, please say and spell your name.
Wendi Adelson, Wendiadelson.
Where are you from, Ms. Adelson?
I'm originally from Coral Springs, Florida.
And where do you live now?
I currently live in Miami.
How are you employed?
Now kind of part-time. I do asylum work and I fundraise for nonprofit organizations.
Are you an attorney?
By training, yes.
Okay. How long have you been a member of the Florida Bar?
Since I graduated and took the bar in 2006.
And are you here today pursuant to a subpoena?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And that subpoena confers use and derivative use immunity to, so nothing you say can be used against you in the future.
That is correct.
That doesn't mean you have full immunity from prosecution, but nothing you say here and nothing derived from it could be used in that prosecution. Is that your understanding?
That is my understanding.
Did you know Daniel Markell?
Yes.
How did you know him?
We were married.
When did you meet Mr. Markell?
We met in the fall of my second year of law school, so fall of 2004.
And where did you meet?
We met in Washington, D.C. He was working there, and I was looking into a summer job in Washington.
When did you get married?
In February of 2006.
And when did you live here in Tallahassee?
We lived in Tallahassee my third year of law school, so from August of 2005 until I think around maybe May or June of 2006. And then we moved to Miami for a year because Danny was interested in working at the University of Miami. Mm-hmm. He did not get the job at University of Miami, and so we moved back here.
Okay, well, first of all, they both were supposed to get a job together, so they were either offered together a job or declined a job together. So she's just putting a twist on it where it makes it look like Dan wasn't able to secure the job, and through what I've heard, it was because of Wendi they didn't want to hire Dan. So I don't know the absolute truth, but this is definitely something that it's a package deal. Just like she got hired on as an adjunct professor, she's only teaching a couple courses a week. Meanwhile, Dan's working full time, and as you heard, he was a tenured professor. So she was there just on the coattails of Dan.
In 2007 and lived here until 2014.
Where were the two of you employed during the time you lived here in Tallahassee?
I was employed at the FSU Center for Human Rights, and Danny was employed at FSU Law School.
Were you both professors at FSU College of Law?
Yes.
And were you living on Truscott Drive at that time?
When we were married, we rented a house before that, but at some point, maybe in 2008, we moved to Truscott Drive.
And is that the home that he was still living in at the time that he was killed?
That is correct.
Okay, and you were no longer living there, is that correct?
I was no longer living there.
All right, at the time he was killed, you two had children together, yes?
Yes.
And how many children did you have?
We have 2 children.
And what are their ages now?
They are 13 and 14.
What about at the time of their dad's death?
At the time of their dad's death, they were 4 and 3.
When did you separate from Professor Markell?
In the fall of 2012.
Whose decision was it to separate?
It was my decision.
And was part of the reason for the separation the two of you having differing views on how to raise your kids as far as within the Jewish faith?
I mean, it was a small part, but it was part of it.
Okay, that seemed to be something that came up a lot in your communication, so that's why I asked about it. What was the difference of opinion on that?
I mean, when we first met and started dating, Danny wasn't as observant or as religious as he became over time. And so the difference in our perspective on raising kids was about dietary choices and attendance at synagogue, things like that.
So in general, he wanted to raise the children more strictly in terms of the faith than you.
That is correct.
Did you move out of the marital home while Mr. Markel was away on a business trip?
I did, yes.
All right. And did he know that you were moving out when he left for the business trip?
No, he did not.
In other words, it was a Pearl Harbor type operation to leave, and he doesn't even know anything about it. And then you call him up when he's up there and you say, oh, by the way, I moved out of the house. And then he comes back there and he sees the divorce papers laying somewhere in the house. That's how he got served. So total efforts to try to just ambush him and cause him as much grief as possible. So that really shows the cruelty of it. Instead of just being professional about saying, hey, look, I don't want to be married to you. How can we work this out? Let's just go see a lawyer. Can we agree on things ahead of time? But no, it was all ambush style.
Where did you go when you left the marital home?
I rented a home in Tallahassee.
Where was that? Do you remember the address?
Aqua Ridge Way.
3303 sound right?
That's right.
Okay. And what was the custody arrangement once you moved out of the marital home?
I mean, in the beginning, until we had a formal custody arrangement, we were just finding ways to share custody. I remember that first weekend his parents came, so I made sure he had the children all weekend while his parents were visiting from Canada. But eventually we had a 50-50 shared custody arrangement.
All right. And do you remember exactly what that looked like? Was it week on, week off, or something more complicated?
It was something more complicated. In the summertime, it was week on, week off. During the weeks, it was I think what they called like a 2-2 split, with Wednesday night being an overnight and then the weekends being every other weekend.
All right, but roughly 50-50.
50-50, but that was the split.
Okay. And I want to show you what's been introduced into evidence, State's Exhibit 56. We've had a chance to take a look at this before, but we'll just kind of come through it and tell me if you recognize it.
Sure.
Do you recognize the exhibit?
Yeah, the Holocaust ring from the Markel side of the family, from Dan's great aunt, I believe it was. Wendi still has that, or at least had possession of it, and would not give it back. So I'm surprised Georgia didn't bring that up at trial to actually show that's how cruel she is. She's going to deny a Holocaust survivor's ring from Dan Markel and his family. Unbelievable.
I do.
Is it a fair and accurate copy of your divorce file?
It looks like it, yes.
All right. And is it fair to say this was a contentious?
Yeah, it's only about 800 some pages. I always should bring out how many pages that thing was.
Just litigation process that you had with your ex.
It was.
And I want to ask you about a specific filing in there. It's on begins on page 43. And it's in reference to a filing on January 14th of 2013, where you were looking to relocate with the minor children. Do you recall that particular filing?
I recall the filing. You said 43. I'm not sure oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am. On the bottom, there should be page numbers for you.
Yes. Yes, I recognize it.
Okay, and that's the filing in reference to your motion for relocation?
Yes.
Okay, and did you file this motion with the intent to not be successful?
I'm sorry, I
It's
don't
been
understand the question.
Oh, you
suggested
heard
that
it.
You never thought that was going to be successful, did you?
I thought there was a small chance that it would be successful, but not very likely, no.
Okay, and weren't you thinking, well, maybe Danny would be happy working somewhere else because he's met?
So between her and her, I'm sure her parents helped her out a lot as well. So she probably spent and all that litigation fighting Dan, trying to get the ability to have the kids live full time in Miami area, that also had a 3 to 4 day full day mediation at one point that wasn't fruitful. So there was a lot of churning of attorney's fees in their divorce. And they were still fighting after the divorce because she decided, no, I do have to get to Miami. I can't stand it here in Tallahassee anymore. So she probably spent just on divorce. She probably spent well over 250, 300,000 bucks.
Mentioned applying elsewhere, so maybe he'll allow the relocation. Were you
Well,
thinking
he and
that?
I talked about the relocation. So when we talked about it, he thought, well, if I can live nearby in Miami, that might work. And then I could commute to FSU. I didn't mean for him to leave FSU, but he wanted to leave FSU at some point. So that
So-
was just a matter of time.
So you thought it might be successful.
Sure. I mean, I thought it was possible, but not likely.
All right.
Yeah, force him to move there and then commute to FSU to teach students. So basically, he can live there during the week and see the boys just on the weekends after flying back, which is something you'd think your parents would do since were retired or should have been retired. If it's that important to see your two boys, which is fully retire and then get an apartment or Airbnb or something up there in Tallahassee. So every time you have access to the kids, your parents do as well. But somehow the decision was made that killing Dan is an easier solution.
Right. And page 46 of that document, paragraph.
Dan can't dispute this, right? She's saying, well, he was open to this so that he could travel that distance. I doubt anybody would want to do that just to help her out, be closer to Miami. No way.
He references the job offer. The wife also desires to relocate to South Florida in order to provide a better quality of life for the children by increasing their access to close family and providing more stability and consistency. Who is the close family in South Florida?
The close family would have been my mom and my dad and my brother.
And which brother is that?
My brother that's here today.
Charlie Adelson?
That's correct.
Okay. What's your mom's name?
My mom's name is Donna.
Donna Adelson?
Yes, that's
What
her
a-
name.
What about your dad?
My dad's name is Harvey.
And where did Donna and Harvey live back in the time frame between 2012 and 2016?
They lived at the home I grew up in Coral Springs.
And how far do they live away from you currently as we sit here today?
Currently,
Okay, but they also had a place that they rented right before the murder happened. So, and they lived in South Beach, so they had access to multiple houses. So I don't think this is correct. I think that they actually lived in South Beach right after the murder, and Wendi was there with them. So I hope the state pursues that in this next trial for Donna.
depends on Miami traffic, but anywhere between 15 minutes and an hour.
All right. And what kind of a relationship do you have with your parents as we sit here today?
I have a good relationship with my parents.
And has that always been the case?
I would say so.
Can you describe the relationship that your mom has with your boys?
I think it's very loving. I think she's a very dedicated grandmother.
She spends a lot of time with them, doesn't she?
She does, yeah.
And when they were little and you first moved there after Danny's death, how much time was she spending with them?
When I moved there after Danny's death in 2014,
How much time was your mom spending with the boys?
I mean, we were all living together at that point. So, I mean, we were spending every day together.
How were your parents employed? Are they retired now?
They're retired now.
What are they retired from?
My dad was a dentist, and my mom used to coordinate, kind of be like an office administrator at his practice.
Did she write the checks at the practice? Paychecks?
Yes. She handled all the bookkeeping.
What was the name of the practice?
The name changed over the years, but probably the name when they retired was the Adelson Institute.
And were your parents wealthy at the time that your husband was murdered?
I mean, my parents worked their whole lives to support us, right?
Mhm.
So I think the business did well for a period of time.
She doesn't want to say something obvious. Yeah, they're wealthy. They had $8 million roughly at the time the murder happened. So notice this kind of questioning of Wendi here is very low key by Georgia. She's just almost asking questions that are not going to be confrontational. They're just simple, basic questions that she's thinking Wendy's not going to dispute it, but it's she gets more pointed in her questions here as time goes on. Because I didn't think she was aggressive enough on Wendi the first couple trials.
About $2 million in profit each year between 2013 and 2016.
They
Sound right?
never talked to me about money, so I have no idea how much the business made at any.
Oh, right. What parent doesn't know, or what parent doesn't talk to their kids about how the business is doing? They would have talked about just generally, how are you? How is the business going? Something like Wendi would have asked her parents. So to claim that she has no idea, she's trying to downplay their privilege.
Given point.
Did you discuss your marital problems with your mom at all?
I did, yeah.
Okay. What about the resulting legal issues? Was your mom read in on those things?
I mean, I definitely updated her about the results of the relocation when that petition got denied, but not kind of the ins and outs of every part of our divorce.
What about your dad? Was he invested in your divorce status?
I think the same as my mom, just worried about me and worried about the boys.
Mm-hmm.
Just normal worrying. Well, what were you telling them about Dan to make them so worried? What did you tell them to make Dan out to be some kind of monster that they had to like throw all this money your way and try to get you out of Tallahassee?
What about your brother? Did he take an interest in the ins and outs of your divorce?
No, not really.
Did he need to protect you from Dan Markell?
No, I mean, I don't think I need protection.
Were you physically in danger from Dan Markell?
No, I wasn't in danger.
Did the litigation revolving around the divorce and the subsequent issues that arose, did that impact your family back in South Florida?
I mean, only to the extent that I think they felt bad for what I was going through, but
Mm-hmm. I want to show you an exhibit that I've marked as State's Exhibit 59. Sorry, 57, Your Honor. You've seen this one back here as well. Does that one look familiar?
I don't remember it, to be honest. It's from 10 years ago.
Take a moment to look through it.
Sure.
When you're done, I'll let opposing counsel take a look at it, but go ahead and let us know when you're done reviewing it.
Look at Charlie's not looking good. Hair's all messed up, wild looking. Think about it, her lawyers in the room there watching her testify. I don't know why other opposing counsel don't bring up when somebody's that's a witness adverse to you. You don't bring up the fact they got a lawyer involved in this. So I think that for her to say she has no involvement, is not worried about anything, her family has nothing to do, why would you spend all this money, probably $150,000 so far, on hiring a super expensive criminal defense lawyer in Florida to advise you on how to testify?
All right, are those emails between you and your mother?
I don't think I responded. I think they're just emails from my mom to me. No.
Okay, mostly all from your mom.
Yeah.
Okay, and the email address says, I think it's something like Wendi Harvey. Can you tell from the content that it's your mom typing rather than your dad?
Yeah, the email's Donna Harvey, my two parents' names. So they've been married over 50 years. So they have a joint email address. So it's from both of them.
Okay, so what I want to draw your attention to is page 2 of that exhibit, that first paragraph there above the word response. Did you have an opportunity to read that?
I read it real fast,
Kind of
but
scanned.
I can
And,
read it.
and what I want to draw your attention to is specifically the part that reads, your father has made numerous trips by plane for weekends and changing the patient schedules around so he can continue to spend significant time with the children. Did you?
Are you objecting to
I just didn't hear it getting any evidence.
Judge, at this time, I'd ask to move this exhibit into evidence.
No objection.
It's 57. Thank you. So that paragraph, isn't that paragraph going into detail about how the issues surrounding your divorce and litigation is financially impacting in a negative way your parents' business?
That's what my mom says here. Yes.
Okay, and it also
Exactly.
says, additionally, this loss of income affects my family because my older brother, also a dentist, purchased the practice from my father in mid-July 2012. He has a monthly payment to make to my father based on the sale of the practice. It isn't fair to him to have decreasing monthly income statements from the practice due to my parents spending so much time here in Tallahassee. So this is an argument that your mom is proposing, right, to help you.
Why are parents spending all that time in Tallahassee? They're basically almost retired. Why don't you just retire and get a condo up there or an Airbnb or something and go visit them however much you want?
Give you an idea of what might persuade the courts to allow the relocation. Do you agree with that?
Yes, that's what she was doing. Yes.
Okay, and she's indicating that both your parents as well as your brother have suffered financially as a result of you not being able to relocate.
Yes.
Okay. And on page,
Think about it though, these parents that are so obsessed with having to be there around the boys in Tallahassee, they don't even show up to Charlie's trial. Neither one of them showed up to Charlie's trial to support him. And Wendi, after she got done testifying and was excused, she got called back a second time in this trial to clarify something that the prosecutor needed to prove up. But she was on the road going back to Miami. She didn't care one iota to see what happened to her brother.
do you have page numbers in the bottom right corner of your exhibit?
I have them in the top so I can see.
Okay, so well, let me look. Give me a moment. So it'll be the second email in your packet, page 1 of 3.
Okay.
Do you see that?
I see that page.
Okay, and there's a rest of your life highlighted or underlined in the center and in bold. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, right before that, it reads, however, the rest of your life and consequently Dad's, mine, and yes, even Charlie's will be affected by how well you can perform/act before July 31st. You need to be a good actress you can be a good actress when you want to. I've seen you in action. You need to put on the performance of your life. Jibbers hasn't beaten the Adelson family yet. Who's Jibbers?
Jibbers, she's referring to Danny.
And was Jibbers a name he went by or just something you called him behind his back?
Jibbers was a silly nickname that I gave him during the divorce proceedings.
A silly nickname. Yeah, you're just going to be silly because, you're knockdown, drag out fights, spending couple $100,000 fighting Dan, and you're going to come up with a silly nickname, no harm, nothing derogatory.
When he was being pretty scary and threatening, and it kind of made me feel less scared of him.
Okay, so not something you called him to his face.
No.
But that was a word that was only used to describe him.
Yes, it was a nickname.
Okay. So in this, again, your mom is referencing how everyone's life is being affected by this relocation, including your brother, Charlie. Do you agree with that?
That is what she said. Yes.
Right. Is your
So all the family in South Florida there of the Adelsons, they all have a vested interest. It's cost them time, money, travel time, all this kind of stuff. Wendi needs to get down there with the boys. This is unacceptable for the court system in Miami, in Tallahassee, to not allow them to be in Miami. So that's why these people said, you know what? We're not going to let some Yahoo judge up in Podunk, Tallahassee deny us what we want to do with our lives. We'll do whatever it takes.
overprotective of you
Yes.
All right. And is it fair to say she's, a little on the controlling side?
I don't
Little?
think she's controlling, but she's definitely overprotective.
Did she ever
Okay, she's not controlling at all, just overprotective. Really, based on the email she sent, that's just being overprotective, right? Not controlling, telling you how to live your life.
try to micromanage your life?
Maybe, yeah.
Did she have an interest in who you were dating and who you weren't dating and who you should be dating when you
I
were
mean, I
single?
think she was usually disappointed that I wasn't dating more.
Okay. For example,
Well, we found out that she was actually dating quite a bit. She's doing that behind Dan's back, so that's not actually something that's truthful right here either. So she wasn't being honest with her mom, and she wasn't being honest with the court here, and she wasn't being honest to Dan either. They got digital evidence to prove that.
isn't it true that she would not let you drive to and from Tallahassee to South Florida?
Well, I used to drive before I had the boys, but they were young and she preferred to come with me and give me some extra support.
So what would that look like if you were going to take a trip to South Florida? Would they come up here and get you, or?
No, sometimes I would go myself with the kids, but I was breastfeeding both of them. So it usually looked like me breastfeeding a child while I entertained the other in the Okahumpka rest stop. So
Okay.
it was a lot. It was helpful to have some backup.
All right. And so that time frame you'd be referencing is like the 2013 time frame? Because not around the time of Danny's death, you wouldn't have still been breastfeeding, would you?
If Lincoln was 3, no, I would have stopped maybe the year before.
Okay.
So
And
maybe
was it
2012, 2013.
okay? And wasn't it true that around the time of the death, they were still doing this practice where they would prefer to drive you to and from South Florida?
I mean, not every time, but sometimes.
Okay. And would your mom sometimes enlist your brother Charlie to convince you to do certain things in your personal life?
Can't really think of an example of that.
Well, dating Dave was a big one on some of the materials I had.
Yeah, people like Dave.
All right. And your mom really liked Dave.
Yeah, everyone liked Dave, but we were just friends.
Okay.
Okay,
And
so
did she try? So she would try to get Charlie to convince you to date a certain person.
yeah, the wiretaps, that's what came out on the FBI wiretaps, that Charlie and her mom were big on Dave, and for her to pursue him, but she wasn't interested. But yet she's now saying that they were just friends. So anyway, more spin, most likely here, more spin.
I don't think she was getting Charlie to convince me to date Dave. I think everyone liked Dave.
All right. And would she try to get Charlie to convince you to do certain things as far as your professional life? What jobs to take?
No, I don't
She
think
didn't do
so.
that. Would she try to get Charlie to do certain things like advise you on investment decisions, whether or not you were going to buy a house, for example?
I don't think so. I don't remember that. Danny and I.
Oh yeah, they were all about what kind of house you can buy, and Charlie was all trying to say, "Look, Mom, make sure she doesn't buy a house in Tallahassee." So she was threatening buying a house because if you don't do something, in essence, if you don't do something, take care of Dan, I will buy a house and stay here for good.
Made that decision together.
Once you had left Dan and you were living separately, did you look into purchasing a home here in Tallahassee?
I did, yeah.
And did your brother Charlie convince you not to do that?
I don't remember him convincing me not to. The only reason why I didn't was because I was waiting on the money from Danny from the settlement and he didn't pay it, so I couldn't afford the house.
And your mom didn't want you to buy the house, did she?
That's not true. My parents were looking to buy a house in Tallahassee as well.
Okay. Did you have, generally speaking, does your mom manipulate the personal lives of her children?
No.
Is your mom,
No manipulation.
if she's
Nope.
really upset about something or worked up about something, is that something that your brother Charlie's going to hear a lot about? Who's going to hear more of it, you or Charlie?
Well, if my mom's upset with me, probably Charlie. And if she's upset with Charlie, probably me.
Okay, so do you get a
Sounds pretty controlling.
lot of that? Do you hear a lot about, let's go back, let's go to before the murder. Did you get a lot of Donna just giving you an earful about what Charlie needs to be doing?
Probably at some point.
And what was Charlie doing with his personal life? What did his personal life look like
At what point?
before the murder?
I mean, at what period of time before?
All of them. Wasn't it just a revolving door of girlfriends?
Right, but my mom didn't complain to me about that.
She didn't mind that with him.
I don't understand the question.
She didn't mind if he went from girl to girl to girl. That was acceptable.
She didn't really weigh in on it, no.
Who talked to her more, you or Charlie?
Charlie.
A lot more, right?
No.
At the time of Dan Markell's murder, were your parents extremely angry with Dan?
At that point, no. They were in a much better place.
I want to direct your attention to an interview that was conducted on, I think this was your law enforcement interview. So July 18th, 2014. And I'm specifically for court and counsel looking at page 27, lines 11 and 12. You've got it open to the page, but you can flip it if you need to familiarize yourself. Sure. And I'll take that exhibit.
Do you want me to flip through or just look at this one page?
If you'll just look at that one page, while we note that. 27. Let me get to where you are.
Think about this though.
So-
not one time has Wendi visited Charlie in jail when he was up there awaiting trial, and not one time has she visited him in any prison setting after he's convicted. She's not visited her mom one time in jail in 20 months, and she's actually moved to Texas. So even her boys who are now 15, 17-ish, they're not even hardly seeing Harvey anymore, who's down in Miami all alone. So this whole thing about doing this killing so everybody can be in Miami area is this all blown up in their face.
So page 27 there, lines 11 and 12, and I've got it highlighted for you.
Yes,
Says, Ms. Adelson, my parents are, very angry toward him. Is that true?
Was that
Isn't
true?
that what you said? Your parents were very angry toward Dan.
Can I read the rest of the sentence?
Sure.
So I say, my parents are very angry towards him, but even when they're around my kids, they would never say a bad word about my kid's father.
And then on page 288, line 24 through page 289, line 1, and that's going to be...
Look how thick that binder is. Of course, we have the current lawyers for Donna. They're trying to keep all that out. They're trying to keep all the court records out, but the judge is going to allow most of that in. So it shows motives. It shows the legal fighting going on, the accusations being made, and that gives motive to murder. Not rational motive, but it gave motive, and it shows the hatred, and it shows the way Wendi was doing stuff to deny Dan visitation that was already agreed upon. It was already agreed upon, and she was not abiding by what they agreed upon.
Didn't you say, it's like my parents have more reason to dislike Danny than almost anyone else? Is that what you said?
That is what I said.
And that's because he hurt you, right?
And I was saying that in the context of talking to law enforcement for hours and hours and trying to help them figure out who might be responsible.
Right. And who did you tell them might be responsible?
Well, I told them many, many people, but are you asking about this particular moment right here?
Yeah, and think about it. She was doing all those breadcrumbs, trying to point the finger at who might have done this, mainly setting up Jeff Lacasse. But what's not highlighted is the fact that what makes her think this is a targeted killing? Why couldn't this been a random crime that wound up with Dan being killed? Why wasn't this some kind of carjacking? She doesn't even know where he was attacked. This whole time she was in the interview, she never asked, what do you mean at the Trescott? Where at Trescott? She never asked those kind of details. And she automatically made the presumption this whole 5-hour interview that it was a targeted killing, not a random act that killed Dan Markell. So why would she not flush out the idea that it must have been some bystander type shooting? It must have been something random, because Dan didn't have any kind of enemies that would want him killed.
Here,
You told them your family might be responsible.
or
didn't you?
potentially someone to do with a former student or his current girlfriend. I mentioned lots of people that I thought could be responsible.
Okay, and of the lots of people that could have been responsible, your family was one.
Yep.
Because they might have done this thinking it would help you. And that's what happened, right?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Your family had your ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they?
No, that's completely untrue.
And back to the divorce, the petition where Danny is responding to your petition for the motion to relocate. Are you familiar with that filing, or do you need to take a look at it?
I need to take a look at it.
All right, it's going to be page 79 through 101, and this is back to our exhibit 56.
Yeah. That's true, Joanette.
And again, that was the filing begins on page 79. I'm specifically interested in 82.
I don't think Charlie's scared at all. I think he's having fun with this. I think he is going to walk. I think he's thinking he's almost home free. He's just got to get through this trial. None of this stuff is hurting him in any way. He's going to get up there, explain everything away, and head on home. Because money can solve every problem he's ever had. He can always buy his way or talk his way out of every problem he's ever had in his life.
In this filing, doesn't Mr. Markel say, quote, the husband affirmatively alleges that the wife helped herself to non-marital assets, including money and stocks owned prior to marriage, as well as numerous personal non-marital belongings of the husband, such as luggage, bicycle, tennis racket, and family heirlooms. The wife has refused to return these items or to allow the husband into her home to see what other personal belongings were taken without his permission or acquiescence.
I mean, that's playing real dirty. That is ultimately, something you don't do that. If you're working for FSU Law School and your soon-to-be ex-husband's working for SFU Law School, work it out. Don't make this thing a knockdown drag out like that. Hiding a family heirloom like that, not allowing access. I mean, this was absolute, very important to bring this out because it shows the absolute cruelty and hatred that they had towards Dan Markell.
So my point is, he's accusing you of theft in this paragraph.
Those are the words that are here, yes.
Yeah, and he's very adamantly objecting to your relocation, right? On page 82, it says the sole stated.
Yeah, I would play the whole tape, Frank. You're asking if the entire interview at the police station would be played at Wendy's trial. Absolutely. Yeah, and if you watch the whole thing, I agree that any jury would convict if they watched that. And that's just hearing that alone, you would not think she's innocent.
The reason the wife seeks to relocate is so that she can be closer to her parents. Was being near your parents the sole reason that you wanted to relocate?
No,
It wasn't the sole reason stated in your petition?
it wasn't the sole reason stated in my petition, and it wasn't the sole reason that he and I talked about before I filed the motion to relocate.
Why was he so adamant and so confident that this was the real reason you wanted to be down there?
I think there's a lot of things in these pleadings that are not true. So just because it says something doesn't make it true.
Sure, but did he know that your mom was just grinding on this issue of trying to get you down there?
He would have had no idea.
He wouldn't have been, that wouldn't have been known to him?
I don't think so.
But he was accusing you in these pleadings of all kind of stuff, right? I mean, I'm not saying it's true, but hiding financial assets, failing to disclose things, kidnapping his kids in the middle of, his business trip, all those sorts of things, right?
Yes, he said
It was
lots of
nasty.
things.
All right. And you said a lot of things too. There's filings going both ways that are pretty venomous. Would you agree with that?
I would not agree with that.
Yours were pleasant.
I'm not saying divorce filings are pleasant, but mine were not venomous.
Okay. Did your mother, Donna Adelson, review the filing in which Dan Markell is accusing you of this theft and all this stuff?
I don't remember if she did.
You don't remember if your mom saw what you filed? Your mom, you ran everything by, and Georgia has a good follow-up here.
What about the one where Dan Markell is asking that your mother not be permitted to have unsupervised visitation with the kids?
My mom never saw that because after he filed that, he then asked my parents to babysit the kids. My mom baked him banana bread, gave him a hug goodbye. So there was nothing truthful about that pleading that he filed, and my mom never saw it.
Why do you think he filed that?
He was really angry at me for leaving him.
Okay, so he didn't really want to limit your mom's visitation with the kids.
No.
And
He
that's
asked for her to
evidence.
babysit after he filed that.
Evidenced by the banana bread. And so she didn't even know about that filing.
She never knew about it.
Okay. And when she laid all those options out in that email to you about other options that you could take to secure the relocation, as far as bribing, remember that? Converting the children to Christianity, remember that
I
suggestion?
sure do.
Okay. What did she put in there that she viewed as your most non-negotiable and most important part of your divorce?
I don't know. Do you have something I can see?
States Exhibit 57.
I mean, when you stop and think about it, her family was really played much like Jeff Lacasse was played. They're all had a purpose to serve. And it's like she's a puppet master, orchestrator,
Page
architect.
Page 1 of the draft, too.
So you want me to read what she said here?
I want you to answer the question. What was the most important part?
Of the divorce for my mom.
Yes.
It says here that for her it was relocation.
All right. And did you have 2 8-hour mediations in your divorce?
We had 2 very long mediations. I don't remember exactly how long they were, but they
Did
felt
they
like a very
result
long
in a
time.
resolution?
No.
Was Mr. Markel seeking to depose your mom as part of the divorce?
I don't remember that.
Do you know if it ever happened?
I don't think it happened. I don't remember it.
Was the prospect of that upsetting to your mom?
I don't think so. I don't remember it, so I don't remember talking with her about it or.
Did your mom call Dan any disparaging names around this time frame?
Well, I just read them in the emails, but I
Okay.
don't remember them.
Oh, of course you don't remember that she's verbally going to say, right? It's just something that you only would see this, and that's the only reason you're able to recall her writing this. But no, she never called that. When you're talking about him, of course not. So the key question is, what were you telling her mom to call Dan all these names? And if she's so venomous about Dan and so hating on Dan, why didn't you just cut her off and not tell her all your life details?
Independently.
Okay.
You would cut her off unless you're using them to manipulate them. That's why she was kept on feeding lies to her mom to generate sympathy and be able to manipulate her parents and her brother to do things for her.
Did she call him an asshole?
Yes.
A narcissist? A
Yes.
bully?
Yes.
Religious zealot.
Yes.
Bastard.
Look at
Thought I could
Charlie.
remember.
Page 5.
You're telling me the jury isn't picking up on this guy? You're talking about what your sister is calling somebody you're accused of murdering, and you're going to sit here and laugh and smirk about it? Guilty. That's what a jury's going to say. Guilty as soon as they see that. You know what? How's Donna going to act? What's Donna's demeanor going to be when she hears this? She's probably going to be standing tall and proud, hearing all these words come back that she called Dan Markell. So they can't hide their hatred even when they're on trial.
Is it page 5 from the first email?
Yes, if you'll just go through by the physical pages.
I see. Yes.
I'm sorry, what was your answer?
Yes.
Fucker?
Yes.
But in all the filings made on your behalf by the different lawyers that you had, and all of the emails that your mom sent, he was never described as abusive.
I mean, he was described as emotionally abusive. Yes.
Can you show me where he was described as emotionally abusive in any of those items?
Well, not by my mom, but in the pleadings.
Okay, show me that.
Oh, so you called him that. Oh, but there wasn't venomous stuff in there. No, he's emotionally abusive. No, it wasn't venomous. So I was just speaking the truth, that's what it really was. So it wasn't venomous because it was the truth, right?
It's going to take me a while to find it.
Okay, well, it's
You want me to-
not in there, but you can get back to me
Well,
with it.
it is in there.
Your Honor.
Look at her smile.
The
And there's Rajman trying to bail her out, rescue her.
comment, she's not testifying.
Hold on, please approve.
So would you have to review the whole file in order to find that, or could you just give us a starting point of which filing it might be located in?
It might be under the petition to relocate. It might be under the initial divorce proceedings. It wouldn't be in emails from my mom, but it would take a while to find it. It might be in the depositions.
Okay, did you view yourself as being stuck here in Tallahassee once the relocation was denied?
I didn't. I mean, I had a
Oh my gosh, I love Tallahassee. What are you talking about, Georgia? I mean, yeah, I spent a couple $100,000 trying to leave this godforsaken place, but no, it didn't matter to me. I was relieved because now there wasn't pressure to have to relocate anymore. Coming from my mom.
really nice life here. I did not view myself as being stuck.
Would you please turn to page 176?
I wasn't stuck here, even though I wrote a book about what a place, how uncivilized this was in Tallahassee.
In that exhibit in front of you. I think it's highlighted for you. Did you describe yourself in that filing as being stuck in Tallahassee?
I don't see it. You said it was highlighted, but there's nothing highlighted.
Okay. 176.
Mhm. I didn't highlight it for you. Okay.
Just a moment.
I see the word stuck. I found it.
Okay. So did you describe at least in one occasion being stuck in Tallahassee?
No, can I read the sentence?
Sure.
So it says, the husband has made it difficult for the wife with her colleagues at her current position due to his statements and actions. And the husband's intent is to relocate to a larger area at some point. So the wife is merely stuck in Tallahassee until the husband decides that the time is right for him to leave.
All right.
Meaning-
And
There you go. She said she's stuck at a place that's grand and glorious for her to live the rest of her life.
had he accepted a job anywhere else by the time that he was murdered?
No, he hadn't yet been offered a job, but he was always looking.
Okay. So he was just going to move and just let you have the kids at that point?
He probably would have done what I did, which is have a conversation and see if it was a place that made sense for both of us to live.
And would you have moved to wherever he got a great job and started a new life there?
Potentially, yeah.
I didn't want to wait to see that happen, did you?
Did you
how
like
realistic it
Tallahassee?
was.
It did.
Oh, wow.
And you said,
Jeff Lacasse said every day that was one of the main themes she talked about is how bad Dan Markell was and how much she hated being stuck in Tallahassee.
I think you did say this, but let me clarify. Was your mom aware of the order denying relocation?
My mom was aware of the order denying
And
relocation.
what about your brother, Charlie? Was he aware of that as well?
I'm
If you
sure
know?
my mom would have said something to him.
All right. So did your mom suggest any ways that you might coerce Dan Markel to let you move with the kids to South Florida?
Yes, I think we talked about that before.
We did. And for this, I'm referring back to those emails. And in particular,
Actually, the memorial service, I believe, was that Saturday. The friends of Dan were able to have a gathering on Saturday, and they left on Monday. So just want to clarify that.
the bribe. So another bribe to get him to allow relocation. I'm on page 5 of the first email for the defense. Another bribe to get him to allow relocation should be the offer of plane tickets so that he can fly back and forth, right? So you're going to potentially offer this big monetary benefit that would allow him to fly back and forth to work. Is that
Why don't your parents just fly in when you have visitation with the boys? It'd have been that simple.
the idea?
I never said that I was going to do any of that.
Okay, was that the idea that your mom had?
That was the idea.
All right, and the amount of the bribe is going to be, or was at least discussed as being $1 million. Is that right?
That is what they said.
Okay, and did you agree with that?
No.
Would that have worked?
I have no idea if it would have worked, but
You think he might have taken $1 million to let his kids go?
well, he wasn't letting his kids go. He would have moved to South Florida and he would have commuted back and forth to his job. So maybe,
Well, then why wasn't it offered?
because I didn't want to do it.
All right, what about,
I didn't want him to get $1 million. There's no way I was going to contribute even a third and rely on my family for the rest of it because I despised him that much. I wasn't going to let him profit off this. There had to be a way to do this without letting him profit.
the idea that you could try to threaten Dan to convert the kids to Christianity so that they can fit into the Bible Belt here in Tallahassee? Is that something your mom suggested in these emails?
My mom did suggest that.
Okay, and specifically, this is
So think about it. They're Jewish, and she's telling Wendi here to manipulate Dan, tell him that you're going to convert the kids to, actually, it was Catholicism. It's what exact words she used, but that's how manipulating this effort was for Donna to pressure Wendi to not give up this fight to get the boys and her down there to Miami area.
on page 7 of the exhibit.
She hated Dan too much. Hey, you're going to get $1 million?
Let Jobbers know that your children will be baptized in the Catholic Church.
There you go.
Have a picture made of them in front of the church, all that kind of thing. That's what your mom
Unbelievable.
suggested at one time.
She did, yes.
Okay,
I mean,
and
can you imagine if she would have done that, how much that would have ticked off Dan, how upset Dan would have been? But then it gets even worse.
did you do any of those things?
No, I don't even think I responded to it.
Do you know whether the
Why won't you respond and tell your mom, are you absolutely nuts? Have you lost your mind? Stay out of my business, Mom. Knock it off. Do you realize how cruel and mean and vicious you're sounding? You're not helping me, Mom, by making such crazy, crazy statements. Need to back off. Let me live my own life. I will deal with this. I don't need you trying to incite this thing in a knockdown drag out.
defendant, your brother Charlie, was supportive of the plan to convert them or pose as converting them to
I have no
Christianity?
idea. I don't think he was particularly involved in this round of my mom's
On
emails.
page 11 of the exhibit, there's an indication from your mom that Charlie at least has discussed this with her and maybe is somewhat supportive. Charlie brought up a good point when he said that Americans were dropped behind enemy lines during World War II wearing Nazi uniforms to get what they wanted. They had a job to get done and they did what they needed to do to accomplish it. You have a job to get done in a very short time frame to accomplish it. If you dressed your kids
Charlie's not looking so happy about hearing that, though. Hearing about the Nazis? Really? You're going to bring up the Nazis? Unreal.
up in Hitler Youth uniforms and brought them down here, I could care less if it was an act of defiance that would show Gibbers that he's
Dress the kids up in Hitler Youth uniforms? Do you realize how absolutely insane Donna got over this issue about getting her daughter down there? So if she's willing to do that, hey, maybe just one step away is hiring a hitman.
all caps and bold, not in control. It just seems like your mom was pretty extreme about this situation of getting you relocated. Can
I
you
think
agree
she
with
is.
that?
Yeah.
All right, and Charlie was at least consulted on it or had offered some information about it.
Well, that was my mom's rendition, so I don't know if that's
Aha.
what actually
Well,
happened or
again.
that was her perception.
Sure.
Pretty funny. It's pretty funny, Wendy, for you.
Were you involved in the effort to consult a lawyer about the
Yeah, no, this happened afterwards, Otto. Dan filed the motion, and that had to do with the way she was already talking bad about him to the boys. So I think that this email came out after, I should say before this issue of her finding out what the request of Dan to have supervised visits with the grandchildren.
bribe and whether that was going to be legal.
I wasn't the lawyer consulted in that.
No, were you involved in consulting a lawyer with your
No.
mom? Okay. Do you know for sure if any financial offer was or was not made to Dan Markel?
I couldn't say for sure if they made it to Danny without me knowing, but I don't think so.
Is that something they would do, is try to negotiate with him behind your back or deal with this situation behind your back?
I don't think so. I think I would have known. Danny probably would have told me.
But you definitely didn't extend any of these.
Yeah, it's
All
so.
right. And did he,
Sorry, I lost my spot. It's so hard to listen to her refer to.
were you familiar
Danny.
with his practice of stapling cash together in stacks?
No, I never knew.
Where's my spot here?
This, but do you want me to read through it?
Could you read the caption aloud, please?
Sure. Motion to dismiss the former husband's counter motion to enforce marital settlement agreements, financial provisions, and that's what
Sorry, I want to find out where my spot is here. We're an hour and 20 minutes in, so
And this was filed in court.
he filed this in court.
And what date? These text messages reflect your recollection. And you may have to look around for context. I specifically looking at this one.
Okay.
I don't think I got this far. Anybody know where I was at on this?
On 338.
motion for sanctions.
Do you remember this filing?
I don't remember this filing, but in anticipation of my testimony today, I refreshed and reread it.
Okay, and he accuses you in this filing of breaching the marital settlement agreement in various ways, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and committing a fraud upon the court by omitting the $200,000 in assets from your financial affidavit.
That is
in
what he
there?
was alleging.
And ask the court to sanction you.
Yes, that's what he
And-
said.
Okay, so again, you're both seeking the court to sanction each other. I mean, them's fighting words and lawyer terms, right?
Well, I was filing a motion to enforce a settlement agreement, so I don't think that's really fighting words. That's just asking the court to complete what it already said it wanted to do.
Okay. And on page 379, Dan suggests that the court send a strong message about your malfeasance by awarding him the entirety of the undisclosed assets of over $200,000, right?
That is what he asked for.
Okay, and then on March 10th of 2014, on page 437, do you respond with your motion to dismiss the former husband's counter motion to enforce the marital settlement agreement that we just talked about?
I'm sorry, what is the page number?
437.
I'm not familiar with this, but do you want me to read through it?
Could you read the caption aloud, please?
Sure. Motion to dismiss the former husband's counter motion to enforce marital settlement agreements, financial provisions, an incorporated motion for sanctions for failure to state a cause of action, and motion to strike as a sham pleading, and motion to strike as redundant, immaterial, impertinent, and scandalous pleading.
And then if you'll go to
Scandalous
page
pleading.
439, do you see a paragraph? that
439.
begins, "The vast majority of the former husband's motion."
Actually, don't see that. On page 439?
Yes, ma'am. I think I have it pulled out.
On number 8.
Yeah, the vast majority of the former husband's motion contains allegations that are redundant, immaterial, impertinent, and scandalous.
Save your questions. I think we'll get through this better if I just wait till the end for your questions. I'm throwing some of your comments up here now, but I'm going to try to answer the questions here. We got about I think about 40 minutes left here of her direct.
Yada, yada. He's making false and immaterial statements against you. His pleadings only prove that he is a disgruntled former husband who cannot move past this disillusion. So it's getting personal. Would you agree with that?
My attorney here is responding to his pleading, which was over the top.
And this is over the top, right?
I don't think so, no.
Then 6 days later,
Sure
Dan
is.
files another motion seeking action against your mother. And that's the one we've already touched on. That's page 441. Is that right?
Page 441.
Cover the
ma'am.
date, Georgia.
Yes,
Cover the
that's what we
date.
talked about.
Okay. Former husband's counter motion for enforcement of marital settlement agreement on parenting issues and motion for contempt and sanctions. Here he's alleging, again, more violations of the marital settlement agreement, including communication between he and the boys. He wasn't happy with how much communication was happening, failing to keep him informed of where his kids are.
Yep.
Failure to communicate about parenting decisions like the kids' schooling, diet, and extracurricular activities, and refusal to provide him access to the kids on their birthdays. So he's complaining about a lot of things associated with this, not just money stuff, it's parenting stuff too, right?
That's right.
And isn't it in this?
I mean, it's basically like the whole thing never got settled from the get-go. It's like everything was getting reopened. She wasn't doing this. She accused him of not giving the $120,000, their half of the equity out of the house they had on Trescott. But he was saying, well, you haven't given me the heirloom ring back yet, the Holocaust ring. And so anyway, this was getting really, really contentious. It was like as extremely contentious as you can imagine. And guess what? All this went away completely as soon as Dan was murdered. All this went away. She had no restrictions on her whatsoever to take the boys wherever she wanted in the entire earth. Nothing was going to stop her. Everything she wanted was granted once Dan was murdered.
Motion that, yes, sir.
I said that's right.
Isn't it in this motion that Dan Markell seeks to enjoin you from allowing your mother from spending time with the kids without supervision?
Can you please show me
That's
which
what
page
set off
that's
Donna
on?
really big time.
Do you see a paragraph beginning on 3 specific occasions?
Yes, I do.
Could you read that, please?
8A, on 3 specific occasions in November 2013, the children informed Mr. Markel, Abba, Dad, Grandma says you're stupid. When queried as to why Grandma, the maternal grandmother, would say such things, the children replied jointly that it is because she says you are trying to take her sunshines away from her.
And continue, please.
In December 2013,
You don't have to say the name.
Yeah.
Your child.
my child, the younger son, further stated to Mr. Markel in front of the former wife, Abba, Grandma says she hates you. The children were visiting with their grandparents at that time.
Mr. Markell is concerned that continued exposure to such negativity forms a foundation for parental alienation. Is that what he was alleging about your mom?
Mm-hmm.
That is what he is alleging in this document, yes.
And this was filed in court.
He filed this in court.
On what date?
It will be at the front.
That ramped up his execution date, no doubt. The pressure was on. That really accelerated. That was gas on the fire. You commenting on Donna trying to restrict her access to the boys to supervised only? And guess what? The very extreme limitation of the Markell family now for Dan's 2 sons, they're extremely supervised. Never can these boys be alone with the Markell family. Never can they have the Markells go down there to Florida, when now in Texas, and ever say, hey, we'd like to spend the weekend with the boys. They're not going to have a weekend with the boys. They're not going to have a lunch with the boys unsupervised. Very extremely controlled, as if they're a bunch of hardened criminals, a danger to the boys. That's the way the Markells were treated. And it's all because of Wendi Adelson here.
Front of the document, right?
Yes, ma'am. Page 441.
This was filed on March 26th, 2014.
And this was the filing that never got ruled on, right?
I don't
March
believe there was
26th.
any ruling on
And
this.
that's because Dan Markell was killed before the hearing, right?
I don't know when it was scheduled for.
It wasn't even scheduled yet.
Okay.
It was waiting to be scheduled when he was killed.
Yeah, and you were supposed to be deposed before that as well. So you were able to avoid a deposition.
If is it fair to say your mom was worried about this motion?
No, my mom never knew about this motion. And as I mentioned before, Danny asked my mom to babysit after filing this motion. So I don't really believe anything that's written here.
Well, you forwarded this motion to your mother
I don't believe I
via
did.
email. In fact, you forwarded this motion to 12 different people.
Ooh, right
Your
there.
mom, Jeffrey Lacoste, Renee Griggs, Tova Walsh, Morgan Honeycutt, Gary Cohen, Miguel Edmondson, Trey Hubler, Robert Adelson, Rachel Frank.
Look at all these people she's roping into her issues with Dan. I mean, she's looking for major, major sympathy here, major ability for them to say, oh, poor thing. Look at how nasty Dan is.
Jared Reich, and some MEHULNYC at yahoo.com. So if you weren't worried about this, why'd you send it to all these people?
I couldn't really say. It's been a long time.
And then a couple
Oh, what an excuse. I just don't remember. Can't say. It's been such a long time ago. I have no idea how that made me feel seeing this motion.
days later, we know what happened.
So this was in March. So a couple days, I filed it. I sent it to people in July when Danny
You
was killed.
sent it, I'm sorry, you sent it a couple days later.
I sent
that email to 12 different people.
in March.
Yes.
Wendy's
Couple
not
things
doing
you
good
can
here. She's
resume
looking
your
terrible.
examination.
The jurors are picking up on
Thank
this.
you, Your Honor. I want to talk a little bit about your brother, Charlie. Is he an older brother or a younger brother?
The timing is everything on this. How much she was able to be bailed out by the sudden killing of Dan Markell is not going to be on notice on any jury that's listening to testimony against any of these Adelsons.
Brothers, you.
I'm the youngest of 3, so I have 2 older brothers. They're both older than me.
All right, and he's the middle child, Charlie?
That's right.
All right, and are you closer to Charlie or to the other brother?
I'm closer to Charlie.
How much time were you spending with Charlie back in 2013 and 2014?
Not a lot of time. I was in Tallahassee. He was in South Florida.
Did he work a lot?
He worked a lot. Yeah.
Did he work at one location or travel around?
He would travel around. He worked at multiple locations.
Was he pretty successful in his job?
Yeah, he came up with a great business model for what he did, and he worked really hard and was very successful.
Was your brother known to carry a lot of cash?
Yeah, she's
I
on the
know-
list.
I mean, he had cash on him sometimes. I never saw large sums of cash.
Did you ever see stapled cash?
I never saw stapled cash.
Were you familiar with his practice of stapling cash together in stacks?
No, I never knew about that.
Was your brother Charlie protective of you?
I think when I was a little kid.
What
Yeah.
about as an adult?
As an adult? I mean, not particularly.
He's protective of you not buying that house in Tallahassee, right? The fall before Dan was killed.
Is it fair to say that during the year or so leading up to the murder of Dan Markell that your brother did not like your ex?
I mean, I don't think he probably didn't like him, but I also think he didn't spend a lot of time thinking about him.
Did he ever like him?
Yeah, I mean, I think they got along fine.
Did your brother ever mention hiring a hitman to kill Dan Markell?
No.
I'm going to turn your attention to your law enforcement interview, and I'm referring to page 25, lines 13 through 15.
So they have a transcript of that interview that we've covered last weekend. So they should use that a lot more in this upcoming trial with Donna.
Okay.
All right, so page 25. You find it?
Yes.
Quote, "It was always his joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman and it was cheaper to get you this TV. Is that what he said?
That was a joke that he made, yes.
And hiring the hitman, that was to kill Dan Markell, right? That was the joke,
That was the joke that he made in poor taste, yes.
not to kill someone else.
No. Well, he never used his name.
Okay. Well, he's hiring you the TV because it's cheaper as a divorce present than a hitman. Who else would he be hitting with the hitman?
I never really thought about it because it was not a
Yeah, Wendy's immunity is she's called this under the state statutory law. If someone's subpoenaed by the state, they have immunity from anything they say. When they're answering questions truthfully, even if it's an admission, they cannot use that information that they admit to against them in any future prosecution, or nor can they do any follow-up investigation that they derive from what they admit to in their testimony and have that be used against them as well. But anything independent that a witness is has a witness like her that they have on Wendi that is previous to the testimony, that is all admissible at a trial. And if somebody lies like Wendi on the stand, everything she says that's a lie waives that statutory immunity, and that is something that the person could be charged with perjury as well. And then everything comes in. So The state has enough here to, I believe there's no doubt they could prove perjury. And so if they charge her with perjury, then all this stuff can come out as well. And by doing so, you really bring out all these crazy stories she's saying. And so let's see if they do that. If they're not that aggressive, then they won't do that. But one thing I do like to see that is very aggressive is they're listing a lot of attorneys that the Adelsons ran to, and had those attorneys calling up the hitman's attorneys to make sure they all have this strategy in place. So they're all working together, like they're all committed a crime together. So that's something that I think is an aggressive move that is going to show that why would an Adelson lawyer contact the hitman's lawyer, hit team lawyers, and middle person Katie McVandel's lawyers to make sure they're not talking to the police, right? So only people that are part of a conspiracy would have their lawyers do that. And Wendi, of course, here is an unindicted co-conspirator. So it's just a matter of time. They have to be prosecuting her. They have to indict her here. They should not wait any longer. This has gone on long enough. 11 years is way beyond anything of normalcy. They need to indict her after she testifies and have her arrested right there and not let her leave Tallahassee.
Thing that he meant, he just made a bad joke.
Well, you repeated the joke, didn't you?
He repeated the joke.
Didn't you also repeat the joke?
Right there. She admitted it. She won't even admit that she said that to Jeff Lacasse. That was like something she laughed about. And I think Charlie's probably ticked off that she was speaking that to so many people, and it really set a big target on Charlie's back, but at least it's not on her back, right?
To other people?
Yes, like Jeff Lacasse.
I never said that to Jeff
Oh,
Lacasse.
there she blinks. See how she blinks? Let's back that up.
Made a bad joke.
Well, you repeated the joke, didn't you?
He repeated the joke.
Didn't you also repeat the joke?
To other people?
Yes, like Jeff Lacasse.
I never said that
Yep.
to Jeff Lacasse.
She squeezed her eyes, and that's an indicator of deception right there. Conscious deception.
You didn't tell Jeff Lacasse that your brother got you that TV as a divorce present because it was cheaper than hiring a hitman.
I may have repeated that joke in the context of the TV. Yes.
All right. And who is Jeff Lacasse?
Jeff Lacasse was a
I think she realized she better come clean on him because she's going to keep bringing it up, and I'll just admit to that part of it. In that context, right? In the context, it's no different context.
person I dated in 2013.
And did you tell Jeffrey Lacasse shortly before the actual murder that your brother really had looked into hiring a hitman?
I did not.
Did he buy you a TV as a divorce present?
Did my brother buy me a TV as a divorce present?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's another sign that you're trying to buy time to think of your answer by repeating the question. Another sign that somebody's actively has in-depth thought on how do I answer this, how do I put spin on everything I'm saying here to not make myself look guilty. But in the process, of course, she's looking very guilty.
I should have
Yes.
clarified that. And was the TV that your brother bought you as a divorce present the same TV that was being repaired on the morning of the murder?
Yes.
Did your mom text you that morning that the repair guy was coming to repair the TV?
I don't remember that.
Why would your mom have been involved in
That's too incriminating. I don't want to remember that.
your TV repair appointment?
Because I didn't purchase the TV. The TV was a gift that my brother paid for, but my mom went and got it and he reimbursed her. So the contract would have been under her name and her number. So when
Why wouldn't your mom put it under your name and your number? That sounds, is that being overprotective or is that being controlling?
the repair guy was coming, they might have called or texted the number on the account instead of my number.
Okay. And after the murder, do you recall going to a dinner where you got sick at the table?
It was about a month later. And yes, I remember.
Where did that dinner occur? Was that here in Tallahassee or somewhere else?
No, it was in Miami.
All right. And was it like out at a restaurant?
It was at a restaurant.
All right. And when we say you got sick at the table, did you actually vomit at the table?
I threw up at the table.
All
And
right.
she is doing that, squeezing her eyes again when she's answering that question. Another sign of deception. So this,
And did you ever hear your brother refer to that particular dinner as a celebratory dinner?
No.
again, see the squeezing in the eyes? That's how you know. That's how you know you got her. Juries get that.
Did you tell Jeffrey LePass that your brother called that a celebratory dinner?
I did not.
Was that a
Let's go back.
particular dinner as a celebratory dinner?
Look at that. Look at her
Did you tell
squeezed eyes.
Jeffrey LePass that your brother called that a celebratory
Look at-
dinner?
I did not.
There again, look at all this time, just a few minutes here, all this tight ice squeezing. That's very much consciousness of trying to brace yourself as you're telling a lie. That's what I've seen over and over again in trials.
Was that a,
One moment, Ms. Calvin.
Yes, sir.
No objection.
Here's the
Overruled.
was that dinner a celebration of the murder of your ex-husband?
Absolutely not. That dinner was the first time I left my house after over a month because
Yeah. Now compare what you just said there to how we saw her interview with Detective Isom. She was laughing, joking around with the folks in the room there, the victim advocate, her friend Jane. I mean, it's like it was like no big deal. And she's suddenly so upset that she can't eat for a month. The only reason you wouldn't eat for a month if you thought maybe the murder got botched and it may come back on you. That's the only reason somebody would be that upset and not want to eat. But to say that she never left her house for a month, so keep in mind she moved a couple days after the murder. So you did leave your house. You not only left your house, you moved 7.5 hours away to South Beach. So that right there proves she's not telling the truth.
I was terrified. And if it was a celebration of anything, it was a celebration that I was willing to leave the house and eat a meal.
Do you know Catherine McVeigh?
She was so terrified, yet they never had security there. Never once. They had the money, they had millions of dollars. They could have hired armed guards to escort her around or protect the house, watch the house. Did she install security cameras in the house, outside the house, alarm system, that kind of thing? Get a guard dog? Did she start carrying a gun for protection? None of that stuff.
Panama, or have you ever met her?
I have met her.
Did you have an independent friendship with her, or did you only know her through your brother?
I only knew her through my brother.
What was her relationship to your brother?
They dated at some point.
Was there anything unusual about her as a girlfriend from your viewpoint at the time?
No,
So she seemed like a typical kind of girl that he would date.
she did.
Did you meet all his girlfriends?
I don't know. I met many girlfriends.
Okay. Did you meet Whitney Kick?
I did.
Okay. And Whitney Kick was after Catherine McVeigh, correct?
I believe so.
All right. And there's a photograph, I'm sure you recall, of you on the beach with Catherine McVeigh. Do you recall when that photo was taken?
I do. It was Father's Day 2014, so 9 years ago.
June 15th of 2014.
That sounds right.
So about a month before the murder.
That sounds right.
Where was this photo taken?
It was in Miami. I went down to visit my dad for Father's Day.
Searching and showing you what I've marked as states 35. Is this that photograph? And I've attached the data.
Yeah, he's saying not only was the TV not in Charlie's name, but it was in Donna's name of all people's names instead of Wendy's.
Associated with it.
Yes.
They gave her excuse to call her and let her know when the Geek Squad guy was showing up at the house. I mean, think about it. You need your brother to pay for it. You need your mom to pick it up. And you need your mom to register it in her name, even though she lives in South Beach and she buys a TV at a Best Buy in Tallahassee. How strange is that?
Okay. Is fair and accurate copy of that photograph?
Yes.
Judge, I'd ask to move it up to states 35.
No objection.
Okay.
States 35 and exhibit.
So that's the picture we've recently seen. Wendy's in the middle. On the left side of the picture is Katie McBanwell, the middle person that was able to hire the hitman team, and then on the right was Yendra.
You may.
who was a friend of Katie's. There it is.
All right, is that you in the center?
That's me.
Which one's Catherine McBanoa?
The one on the left, our left in the picture.
And how long had Ms. McBanoa been dating your brother at the time this photo was taken?
I have no idea.
How many times had you met Miss McBanoa at the time this was taken?
I think once before.
Okay, how many times did you hang out with her total?
Just these 2 times. Once at the dinner when I met her, and then once at the beach for an hour.
Was the relationship between your brother and Catherine McBanoa serious, if you know?
I don't know. I mean, 10 years ago, was it serious? Not too serious.
Yeah, I
Never
do that a
stood out
lot.
to you during that time
You know what to
frame as like,
object
oh,
to.
this is the one.
No.
All right, so you mentioned you thought Whitney Kick was after Catherine McBanoa. What about June Mchinda? Do you know which one that is?
When you say, do I know which one that is? She's not in the picture.
No, ma'am. You're one of your brother's girlfriends, June Mchinda. Do you know her?
I met someone named June.
Okay, and would you agree that was also after Catherine McBanoa?
Yes, that would have been after.
When did you learn that Catherine McBanoa was blackmailing your brother for the murder of your ex-husband?
Today.
So he never told you?
No.
You testified in Catherine McBanoa's murder trial last year, didn't you?
I did, yes.
And she was
Yeah, this is so. Keep in mind. Let me back that up. She's claiming that right there, right before she testifies on the witness stand, that's the first time she heard about how Charlie knew who the hitmen were and they were trying to extort money. She had no idea the so-called extortion, which is really robbery on a layaway plan, because there's no extortion. If you look at what the definition of extortion is.
So he never told you?
No.
You testified in Catherine McBanoa's murder trial last year, didn't you?
I did, yes.
And she was convicted
She was convicted, yes.
of murder.
Yes, of murder.
Of murdering Dan Markell.
Of murdering my children's
crime?
father, yes.
A crime for which she apparently is innocent because she was just a conduit for Sigfredo Garcia. Did you learn that today along with all of us?
Well, I learned that someone made that argument. I don't know whether it's true or not true.
Okay. You have no knowledge of it.
I have no knowledge.
In all the years this has been pending.
No,
In all of the years,
all these years pending, 9 years, and you never knew that your brother knew who killed Dan Markell, your ex-husband, the father of your boys, your family didn't even tell you that? You really expect to have a jury believe that?
this has been pending.
Your brother has known who killed your child's father, and you didn't know.
I did not know.
That's a massive, massive whopper of a lie. No jury's going to believe that. They're going to see it for what it is. Like, all these Florida folks are involved in this. These Florida Adelsons.
Do you know why Catherine McBanoa was on the payroll at the Adelson Institute?
I believe that she worked there.
What did she do there?
I know my brother met her at a dental office, so I'm guessing administrative work of some kind.
Did you ever observe her doing administrative work there?
No.
How did the killers in this
Never
case
worked there.
know that Dan Markel
Where's
was
Rajpal
planning to
going?
leave town the day after the killing?
I have no idea.
You knew he was planning to leave town the next day, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Did you convey that information to anyone?
Absolutely not.
To your knowledge, did your brother have that information?
I don't know why he would have known that.
You know, look at this. The The way she tries to comes across like a deer in headlights, just like, look at me, I'm just so innocent. I don't know any of these things that were working behind the scenes, the motives, information being conveyed. I didn't convey anything, but no, she's. I agree with you, Mavi, or maybe. Sorry, I'm mispronouncing probably, but she looks more and more guilty each trial. I mean, she gets caught up in these massive indicators here that she just can't come clean. She just can't help herself.
So if the killers were told it has to be done today because he's leaving town tomorrow, we don't know how they knew that.
I have no idea how they knew that.
She's the only one that would know that kind of information. None of the Adelsons in South Florida would know that.
But it would have to come from someone familiar with Dan Markell's schedule, wouldn't it?
They would have to find out somehow. I don't know how.
No idea
Prior
how.
to Dan Markell's murder, when were you last in South Florida? Was it this trip that's pictured here?
No, because it was my dad's 70th birthday in early July, so I would have gone down to celebrate his birthday.
Okay, when's Dad's birthday?
July 5th.
How long were you down there for that July 5th trip?
I don't really remember offhand, but my guess is about a week.
Did you see Charlie Adelson on that trip?
Yes. We celebrated my dad's birthday, the whole family and friends, everybody.
Did you see Catherine Magbanua on that trip?
I don't remember if she was there or not.
Did Dad have a birthday party?
Dad had a birthday party.
Was it a big birthday?
It was his 70th birthday.
And was Catherine Magbanua at the party?
I don't remember seeing her there.
Do you remember seeing June and Chinda at the party?
I don't.
Or Whitney Kick at the party?
I don't.
So it could have been any one of them or none of them.
Or none of them. I don't remember there being a girlfriend with him at the party.
All right. So you said the birthday was what, July 5th?
It would have been July 5th.
Okay. And do you know on what day you celebrated?
Maybe his birthday. If it was, I felt like it was a weekend. So maybe if July 5th was a Saturday, then it was on his actual birthday.
Okay. Tell me about the event. Who, you said there were family and friends there, but how many people?
Maybe like 50 people.
What was on the menu?
We had paella.
Good to ask these kind of details because I think what she's doing is setting her up for the other detail, which is, well, what did you get Harvey for his 70th birthday present?
Were you responsible for securing the paella, or is that your brother's job or someone else?
I didn't arrange it, but I speak Spanish and no one else could communicate with him. So I spent some time helping him. That's why I remember what we ate.
Okay. Did your dad get any big gifts for his 70th?
I don't remember.
She doesn't remember, and she's always said, "Oh, I don't remember. Yeah, I just, everything's just so harmless, innocent. We got nothing to hide." Yeah, I remember the food we had served there, but I don't remember the 70th birthday gift that my dad would remember. My dad's not going to make a big deal about food we have, but he's going to make a big deal about and remember what gift we got him. So what was the gift, Wendi?
So there was no big lead up and discussion about some big gift that you were involved in, at least?
I don't remember. I don't remember if I gave him a present. I hope I did.
Do you remember what anybody gave
I hope I did. You don't remember what you got your dad for your 70th birthday present, really?
him for that birthday?
I really don't.
Was the murder of Dan Markell your dad's big gift?
I mean, that's, of course not. That's a horrible thing to say.
What about the grandchildren, getting full unfettered access to the grandchildren?
My
Could that
parents
have been
had
the
full
big gift?
unfettered access to their grandchildren always.
Not when they lived in Tallahassee.
Unfettered access. There she is talking about the Markel's unfettered access. And yet we just showed you here tonight the horrific, agonizing denial of visitation and relationship that the Markells have with her two kids, their grandsons, effectively cutting off the entire family tree there of the Markells.
Whenever they could come up and see them, they did.
They were 50% of the time with Dan Markel, right?
Sure, but whenever they were with me, they had full-on photographs of us.
On the occasion that we're talking about Dad's birthday, was that one of the times that when you came back to Tallahassee, your parents rode with you and then rented a car and drove home in the rental car?
It was.
And how long a drive is that?
It's about 7 hours.
During that 7-hour trip, or at any time when you were in South Florida, was there any discussion of a murder at all?
No, absolutely not.
Any discussion of what to do about Dan?
No.
Any further discussion about bragging, converting to Christianity, any of those strategies?
No, that ship had long sailed.
Any discussion on that trip about the pending motion to preclude your mom from having contact with the kids?
No.
What was wrong with the TV that was repaired the morning of the murder?
I think one of my boys might have thrown something at it. There was like a little crack in the TV.
I mean, as a mom, you'd find that out, wouldn't you? You'd want to know exactly what happened, who broke it, and do some kind of follow-up accountability, right? Maybe do some punishment or something. You just don't sit there and say, well, I think one of my sons might have done it.
How long had the TV been broken at the time that it got repaired?
I honestly don't remember.
Could it have been a long time, quite a long time?
No, it could have been. I mean, I would be completely speculating. I don't remember how long it was broken for.
Do you remember who repaired the TV?
Yes.
Completely speculating how long it was broken for. See, so she just won't admit to certain things. Hey,
It was called the Geek Squad.
there's my brother John back to the left of Georgia there.
Do you remember the window that the Geek Squad gave you for when they were going to be at your home to do this repair?
I do. I think they said it was 8 to 12 or 9 to 1, something like that.
Okay. Would you agree with me if I told you it was 8 to 12?
That sounds right.
All right. And do you recall what time the repairman actually arrived?
No, but I remember they came on the early side.
Okay. And was the repair done?
No,
Why not?
because I called my brother to find out how much a new TV would cost versus how much the repair
Calling her brother again? My gosh, really?
cost, and it didn't make sense to repair it.
It's cheaper to buy a new TV.
And the repair guy would have told you that. I hope they call a repair guy as a witness this time. But you know what? Even if they don't, the jury gets it. People with a lot of money, they're not going to have something under warranty. And you know what you do? You just call Best Buy and say, hey, I got a cracked screen. Do you guys, is that under warranty? Yes or no? No, it's not under warranty. Okay, thank you. Goodbye. You're not going to sit there and make an appointment and do all this drama just over a stupid little dorm-sized TV.
Records indicate the repairman was there for about 45 minutes. Does that sound accurate to you?
So that's my best. Sure.
Why was he there for that long, just to tell you, like, this thing can't be repaired or it's cost prohibitive to repair? Do you remember?
I don't. My guess is he was there to try to see how he could repair the TV, and then he gave me an estimate, and then I found out what the estimate compared to the cost of the new TV would be.
Who paid the repairman?
I did.
The repairman, you're familiar with his statement that you seemed really upset that day. What were you upset about?
I have no idea.
Were you upset that day?
Were you upset that he showed up too early at 8:20 and he was gone by 9 and he really didn't have anything to say to you and you held him there just talking and talking and talking, not letting him get away? Because you needed to have more coverage for an alibi?
I don't remember being, oh, yes, I was upset that day. I was upset. I remember Danny wanted to take the kids swimming and I wanted to pick them up earlier in the day.
Okay,
And
so
so
nothing to do with the TV.
I don't think so. I probably wasn't that upset about the TV.
No, it's not the TV. It's the fact that he got there too early and was not going to stay long. And I had to talk his ear off, but that only lasted so long.
Did you ever use the TV as code for the murder?
No.
Oh, look at that.
Did
Right,
you ever-
right there. I'm telling you, folks, that's her kryptonite here. Look at her. And same with most any witness. They're going to give some kind of body language indication when you nail them with something they're not going to tell the truth on. Look at that.
Did you ever use the TV as code for the murder?
No.
Look at that.
Did you ever hear your mom do that?
No.
There again. Look how many times she's doing it.
Do you remember on July 13th, 2014, seeing Jeffrey Lacasse at your place on Aqua Ridge? Do you even remember that evening?
I don't remember seeing him at my place because by that point we were kind of broken up. So I don't think I would have seen him at my place.
All right. So on that occasion, you couldn't have told him you wanted to share something with him in confidence.
I think that would be very unlikely. We had kind of broken up at that point.
And you couldn't have told him at that time the statement about your brother really did look into hiring the hitman.
I can't imagine I would have said that.
Wait a minute. You can't imagine you would have said that? That he actually looked into hiring a hitman? Let's go back.
Ridge. Do you even remember that evening?
I don't remember seeing him at my place because by that point we were kind of broken up. So I don't think I would have seen him at my place.
All right. So on that occasion, you couldn't have told him you wanted to share something with him in confidence.
I think that would be very unlikely. We had kind of broken up at that point.
And you couldn't have told him at that time the statement about your brother really did look into hiring the hitman.
I can't imagine I would have said that.
You know, that's what, if that never happened, you say, of course I didn't say that because it never happened. She's saying, oh, I can't imagine saying that. Well, what do you mean you can't imagine it? So it is possible then.
And when did you break up with Mr. Lacasse, or when did the two of you break up?
It would have been end of June 2014.
So not 4 days before the murder?
No.
All right, so end of June 2014 would have been the last time you saw him.
No. I saw him after that. We were talking and kind of figuring out what we wanted to do, but we had gone on a trip to Gainesville the last weekend in June,
Mm-hmm.
at which point we had a big argument and I really didn't want to be with him after that. So at that point for me, I was pretty much done, but there were more discussions until it, formally ended.
And when was the formal end?
I remember seeing him that Monday night and telling him I wanted to have some space.
Okay, so 4 days before the murder?
So 4 days before Donna was killed.
All right.
To get him all riled up so he could be the perfect scapegoat in case anybody tries to come after an Adelson.
And that was that the end of your relationship with him?
When I told him I wanted some space, yeah.
Okay. Where did you go after the TV repair man left?
After he left, I stayed at the house for a while and I was working on some pieces of writing. I was talking with various friends. I had a friend in town interviewing for a job at FSU. I was making plans to go meet her. The time got too close before her interview. And then I had two friends that I would often meet on Fridays, just kind of last minute. And so we made plans to go have lunch.
All right, so what time did you leave the house to go have lunch?
I really didn't remember offhand, but I refreshed my memory and saw it was sometime around 12:45.
Okay, so it makes sense that you might have left your residence at about 12:30.
Sure.
Okay, and did you go to the crime scene or very near the crime scene on your way from?
Angie's saying, any bets if Wendi flees, if Donna's found guilty? Well, they better make sure she doesn't leave Tallahassee. They better arrest her after she testifies.
Your residence to, I guess, to lunch or to wherever you were going next?
No, I did not.
So you never turned on Trescott Drive that day?
I went to turn on Trescott Drive, but I saw that it had been blocked off by some tape. And so I just kept driving on Centerville.
Okay, and when you
There's the lie. She says Centerville, the intersection of Centerville and Trescott was blocked off. And that's not true. Dan's house is like beyond a mile down Trescott that she actually drove on. She drove right into the house next door and was able to see all this law enforcement activity going on in the driveway at the house there where she used to live with Dan. And what did she do? She turns around, doesn't ask a single question of the cops that were standing there.
You had to turn around at the tape, right, to go back.
Never says, "Hey, are my boys okay? My boys slept there last night. Reassure me that they're okay, because I've not heard anything." Dan normally lets me know when he drops him off, but I never got word of him today. So let me know what's going on.
I think I tried to turn right and it couldn't turn, so I would have made like
She couldn't turn. So this directly contradicts previous testimony of hers. Georgia doesn't call her out on this. I hope she does this next go around for Donna's trial.
kind of turn, like a K turn, and kept going.
Was there a roadblock there with,
There was tape.
yeah, and an officer was there?
I didn't see an officer, but I did see a car.
A law enforcement marked vehicle? Okay, did you have any contact with the officer?
No.
Okay. Did you do anything after that to try to find out what was going on down that roadway?
No, I just assumed it was weather or maybe a tree fell.
Had there been bad weather that day?
No, but it was summertime and there's electrical storms and trees fall, so that would have been pretty normal for summertime.
Where were your kids supposed to be at the time that you encountered that roadblock?
They would have been at school.
And that's at the creative preschool?
That's right.
Who took them to preschool that day?
Danny.
And who was supposed to pick them up from preschool that day?
Me.
All right. So did you know for sure that they had made it to preschool that day at the time you encountered the roadblock?
I just assumed. I mean, if they hadn't made it to preschool, Danny would have let me know, but
Did you attempt to call Dan Markel?
But then maybe he was gunned down in the house, and that's why I didn't call you. Maybe your kids were gunned down as well, and you never bothered to find out. It's like you knew what was going down, Wendy. That's what it looks like.
When you encountered the roadblock?
no, I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think it was related to the house.
Had you talked to Dan Markel or your kids that morning?
My kids know, but that would have been normal. And Danny and I tried to get in touch with each other, but we left. We were trying to figure out where Ben was going to go to kindergarten at the time. And we left voicemails for each other, but didn't get to talk.
Okay. Did he leave you a voicemail message that morning?
You intentionally avoided Dan that whole week, and they had this critical issue to resolve between them, and you just completely ghosted him and said you had laryngitis, but yet you went for a long walk with your friend Jane. You had no problems talking for hours on end, 5 hours with Detective Isom and others at the Tallahassee Police Department on that Friday. So how convenient.
He did.
Okay. I asked you earlier about him being scheduled to leave town the day after he was killed. Do you know where he was planning to go?
He was going to New York to see his girlfriend.
The message that he left you that morning, do you remember what he told you in the message?
I mean, I think it was about our son's school.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I don't really remember.
Okay. Included in that was it included in that message that he was heading to the gym and was going to be at the gym between 9:15 and 10:30 that morning?
I really don't remember, but that sounds like it could be what he would leave.
Okay.
Yep. And of course, you had that opportunity to pass that information along, right?
Would it refresh your recollection to review a transcript of that voicemail?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let me know when you're done.
Okay. Okay.
So did he say in that voicemail that he left you what his plans were in regards to the gym that day?
He did.
What exactly did he say about the gym?
About the gym, he said, I'm going to be at the gym probably between 9:15 and 10:30. but I'm happy to chat or meet with you. Maybe we can go for a walk at school or something like that. Let me know.
Okay. So that particular voicemail doesn't sound very emotionally abusive. Would you agree with that?
No, by this point in time, we were parenting really well and we were doing just fine.
Moving along, great.
Your Honor,
What was the objection?
move to strike.
I'll strike the comment, Your Honor.
Please move on.
Did you talk to your brother on the day of your ex-husband's murder?
I did.
And about what time of day did you speak to him?
It would have been right after the repair guys were there because that's when I called him to tell him, ask him whether I should get the TV repaired or buy a new TV. So it would have been morning.
How long did you talk to him?
I don't remember.
Does 18 minutes sound incorrect?
That sounds reasonable.
Okay. Did you talk to him about other things other than just the TV?
I really don't remember what else I talked to him about, but probably maybe I would have asked him about his work or we would have caught up.
Yeah, it was like about a 17 and 19-minute phone conversation, all just over that stupid little TV. That was a no-brainer. You didn't need to call him on. So what else did you talk about, Wendy? Tell us. We want to know.
Did you happen to mention Dan Markell's plans to go to New York the next day?
I don't see why I would have.
Did you have WhatsApp?
There again, I don't see why I would have. There she knows. She's leaving an open door, the possibility that she did tell him. I don't see why I would have. Instead of definitive, of course I did not tell my brother that. Why would I tell my brother that? What relevancy is that to when Dan is leaving town? My brother had no reason to know that. So of course I didn't tell him that.
App on your phone at that time?
I don't know if in 2014 I had WhatsApp. Now we use it for all the parent chats at school. So it's everybody seems to have it, but I don't know if
Your brother's on trial for murder, facing life without parole, and you can do that kind of laugh there in the courtroom.
I don't know if in 2014 I had WhatsApp. Now we use it for all the parent chats at school. So it's everybody seems to have it, but I don't know if everybody had it back in 2014.
What is WhatsApp?
WhatsApp is kind of an app you would use for texting.
Oh, now she's looking at jury, trying to connect with them.
Do you know if your brother Charlie had it at that time?
I have no idea if he had it at that time.
Did you ever communicate with Charlie through WhatsApp?
It's not working.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know
Maybe,
if I had it
again.
at that time or if I had it.
Again, not a definitive. This is like traumatic for your boy's life. Everything would be locked in a memory of what was going on in your life during that time.
Later, I probably would have.
Just not sure.
Yeah,
Did you have any contact of any kind with Catherine Magbanua on the day of Dan Markell's murder?
no,
Did you ever communicate with her through WhatsApp?
no, I never communicated with her at all.
All right, let's talk on the day of Dan Markell's murder.
No. Later, I probably would have.
Just not sure.
Blink,
Yeah,
squeeze your eyes shut here.
Did you have any contact of any kind with Catherine Magbanua on the day of Dan Markell's murder?
no,
Did you ever
Blink
communicate with
fast.
her through WhatsApp?
no, I never communicated with her at all.
All right, let's talk about, well, you communicated with her on the beach.
I saw her in person, but I'm saying I never texted with her, called her. I never communicated via a device other than in person.
Okay. What about when you were talking to your brother? Did she ever get on the phone and speak to you?
I don't think so.
Okay. I want to talk about where you went when you left your residence on the day of the murder. You tried to turn on to Trescott, and then you ended up where?
I went, I was supposed to go to a party that night, a Stock the Bar party. So I went to a liquor store to pick up what they had asked for as the present for their party. So I went to the liquor store, I picked up the alcohol, I stopped, I think I got gas, and then I went to lunch to meet my friends.
And the liquor store purchase appears to have occurred at 12:49 based on the receipt. Do you have any reason to dispute that
Oh, that
timing?
sounds right.
Okay. And then from there to the restaurant?
Yes.
And where was the restaurant located?
Mosaic. I actually don't remember.
Keep in mind, this is a 40-minute detour she made to go to ABC and then to back up to the Mosaic restaurant. Mosaic restaurant, if she'd have gone directly to there and then before or after gone to one of the liquor stores around there, she would have saved 40 minutes of travel.
Or I just remember I would go north on Thomasville Road.
All
And
right.
so it was,
And is the restaurant where law enforcement came to speak with you and you ended up going with them to the police station, right?
that's correct.
Do you agree or disagree that there have been some financial benefits to you and your boys as a result of Dan's death?
I disagree.
When did you decide to change the name?
She disagrees, and yet she's getting, back at the time, she was getting like $4,800 a month for the two boys. Since 2014, she got at least that $4,800 a month. So add that up, 11 years of at least $4,800 a month. I'm sure they've upped it since back then, so it's probably $6,000 now a month.
Of your children from Markel to Adelson?
So after Danny's murder, there was a lot of news. It just hit the media, and there were news stories everywhere. And Nancy Grace on CNN put pictures of my boys with their faces unblurred, just pictures of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was terrified. And so when they started school, I started school with my last name, thinking that would keep them safe, that they wouldn't be associated with the murder.
Wasn't the Adelson name in the press? Just
It
as
was
much
not in
as
the press.
Markel?
Not yet.
Well, how would, if they're staying with you, everything for your residence is going to be with Adelson. So if they wanted to get to the boys, they'd have gone through you. So you're the one that should have changed your name if you're really that scared. So why didn't you change your last name? Killers don't go looking through elementary school records to figure out what these boys look like and whatever, nor could they recognize these boys, which school to pick of where they went to, how they know where in Miami you lived and what school they went to. They'd be looking for you, not the boys. Well, who goes after boys, young boys like that? And what made you think, again, this was a targeted killing instead of a random act of violence?
Do you agree that you legally changed the kids' names on July 6th of 2015?
That sounds right.
So it was actually a year after the homicide.
A year after.
And on that form, she said she's reverting the boys' last name back to the original last name. That's what's checked on the box on that form. It's not true. They always had been named Markell. They always were Markell until she changed her name to Adelson. And if it's a whole year later, there was no threats. You didn't do anything for, like I say, for security if you really thought your life was in danger. So it's all just an effort to get rid of anything and everything having to do with the Markell name.
When was the last time you talked to your mom? Did you talk to her today, yesterday?
I talked to her yesterday.
In her emails, and we referenced one of them while you've been here on the stand, she talks about you giving performances and playing roles. Did you discuss anything about what you would do here today in court with your mother?
No.
Were you involved in any way in the plot to kill your ex-husband?
Absolutely not.
Did you know it was going to happen, but maybe not know the
Show her.
details?
I knew nothing.
Is that why you went to the crime scene on the day of the homicide?
I did not go to the crime scene on the day of the homicide.
Do you know who all?
She did. Yes, she did. That's a major whopper. They caught her there. They got her vehicle, and so they better charge her with this. She drove to the crime scene tape. She's saying the crime scene tape was at the start of where Trescott begins off of Centerville, and that's not true. They had the tape all the way down next to Dan's house.
Was involved in the murder?
Well, I learned today, but at the time, no.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not upset that you were under this fear of being killed all these years, and your brother could have just told you, "Oh, hey, I know who it was, and I'm paying him off, so you're okay," and you actually moved down here where the killers live. He never told you that? Wow. You don't seem very upset about that. It's like you knew this was going on the whole time, that this was an excuse, a story that he was going to use for his trial to try to bamboozle and trick the jury into thinking he's innocent.
Have you ever privately confronted your brother about his role or possible role in the murder?
My attorney has advised me not to have conversations with anyone in my family about the case.
Oh, how convenient. Don't talk to your brother about why he's been deceiving you all these years, making you think that no one knew who the killers were. He was falsely accused, and he actually knew who the killers were, and he's not going to tell you so you can have true protection from these killers.
But you had a close relationship with your brother at the time of the murder, right?
I absolutely had a close relationship with my brother.
And how soon after the murder did your lord advise you not to talk to your family about it?
In 2016.
Okay, so what about the 2 years in between?
So you not talk to your brother about this, your family about this murder since 2016, and the thing, keep in mind this is 20 months ago. Unbelievable that she expects a jury to believe this.
Did you talk to him about it then?
I mean, I talked to him about the fact that a murder occurred, but I guess I don't understand the question.
But you never talked to him about the suspicions you raised in the law enforcement interview that your brother might have done it.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did also. You did.
You
tell law-
suspected your brother could have been a part
Your brother was a potential suspect. You left his name out there for them to go follow up. Sure you did.
of this, right?
I suspected lots of people could have been a part of it.
But he was one of the people, right?
While I was talking with law enforcement for 6 hours, terrified out of my mind, I offered them every possible idea
It was 5 hours. Okay, it wasn't 6 hours.
I could come up with.
Right. And one of the possible ideas was that your brother could have murdered your child's father.
I didn't
right?
really believe that was possible.
You brought his name up.
Was part of the plot for you to be able to have plausible deniability about this?
Absolutely not.
Is it better for both you and your brother if you don't know the details of this?
I don't even understand the question that you're
Sure you do.
asking me.
When did you first become aware that you might be a suspect in this case?
I mean, as the ex-wife, I assumed I was a suspect from the beginning.
So if she's part of the planning and is going to give them information like Dan's whereabouts, she's going to be kept to a minimum on what they have for an evidence trail to her. Obviously, she's not that stupid where she's going to have a direct evidence trail. But you know what? It's very close because she's talking to the hit team the morning of the murder, and then she drives to the crime scene just over an hour after Dan was murdered, or I should say gunned down because he died the next day.
What was your first thought when you were asked if anyone might have murdered Dan Markell for your benefit?
I thought, oh my God, maybe if I hadn't divorced him, he would still be alive. Maybe this is my fault because I complained to the wrong person. Maybe Danny gave a student a bad grade and they came after him. I just was trying to think of who possibly could have wanted to hurt him.
Well, maybe it was just a random act. Maybe they just wanted to rob him or something. How did you not ever figure this out initially? Now, they didn't find any evidence that there was a robbery effort, so it was a targeted killing. But at the time that you were being questioned, you always thought that it must be a targeted killing. Why would you say that? And then bring your family of South Florida into the picture.
But you didn't say any of that before. The first thing you said was Charlie, right?
I don't think so.
His first name.
Page 25 of your interview, line 5 through 15. Do you have any reason to dispute? Page 25, not 5 hours into it, you say Charlie might have done it, right?
Can I see, please?
You may. This is going to be tab 1, page 25.
So what's Charlie doing, sitting there seeing
What I
this
say
happen?
here is that he would never do it. Right under the highlighted part, I say, no, he would never.
With us, after listing his name as going through the Rolodex of who could possibly have a motive to kill Dan, or Danny, as you call him.
Page 25, line 5 through 15. I mean, my brother, the one, his name is Charlie, the one I'm really close to. He makes a lot of jokes in that taste, and it was a joke he made. He bought the TV for me.
Charlie, you got to realize how bad this is for you. Your sister really helps sink you there. Do you realize how bad this makes you look? Your own sister, the first name she brings up is who they need to rule out as committing this murder is you.
This morning that got broken, and then I was talking to him about whether it made sense to pay or fix it, or whether I should get a new one. And it was always his joke that, like, he knew that Danny always treated me badly, and it was always his joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman and it was cheaper to get you this TV, so instead I got you this TV. And you do say you don't think he would do it, but can we agree you brought up his name on page 25 of the interview?
I did.
Yeah. And he also was killed by a hitman, right?
When asked, would you ever ask someone to do something like this? You say not in a million years. When asked, okay, do you think someone would do this for your benefit without asking you? You say no. And when Isom starts to ask you, what good does it serve? You say, I mean, my brother, the one, his name is Charlie. Isn't that how it went?
This is the transcript, but I think there's also inaccuracies in the transcription.
Oh boy. All right. Do you want the culpable parties held accountable for murdering the father of your children?
Absolutely. I'm grateful they're already in jail.
But not if it's your family.
It's not my family.
I mean, somebody hired them, right?
Not necessarily.
Somebody paid them.
I learned something this morning.
Yeah, me too. You didn't want them held accountable.
Yeah, you learned something this morning. Your family's so tight, but yet they didn't tell you they were being quote unquote extorted for 9 years. This extortion secret was going on.
Well, if it was your family members, didn't you tell law enforcement that?
That's not what I told law enforcement.
What did you tell law enforcement?
That's true. They asked, do you think the killers of killers should get the maximum punishment? She said yes. She goes, what if it's involving your family? Then she said, well, no, not if it's involving my family.
I told them that the person who did this should be held responsible and that I had nothing to do with it.
Page 122, lines 7 through 12. If somebody tried to kill my ex-husband, they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. The investigator says, regardless of who it is, and your answer is, I mean, it would be different if I thought it were my brother.
But I don't think it was my family.
It's different now, isn't it?
No, it's not different. That's exactly
different
what I
today,
said
isn't
right
it?
here. No, that's not
No
right.
further questions.
All right. So there's a conflicted lawyer that should have never got on Rashbaum's Charlie's case. Rashbaum should have declined to represent Rashbaum, but you're looking at big bucks. This family has millions of dollars, so he thought he could go from Charlie then back to Donna, who he represented for many years since 2016, and then lo and behold, Rashomon has to withdraw right the day of the first day of jury selection. Rashbaum finds out that Charlie revokes his consent to have dual representation. The conflict he does not no longer acquiesce to. And so that means Rashbaum has to no longer represent his mom. And so anyway, one thing to keep in mind on that is that when you think about it, in a way, Charlie betrayed his mom because his mom could have gone to trial already, and I'm sure they think they would be acquitted, just like they thought Charlie was going to be acquitted. So Charlie forced his mom to stay in jail almost 20. Let's see, how many more months was that? Quite a few more months. I can't think of it off the top of my head. When was that trial supposed to kick off? Was it last fall? So let's say another 8-9 months, all because he didn't want to waive the conflict with Rashbaum. So in a way, he also betrayed his mom. So you do have this, who's going to come out on top, and they also have this idea that Rashbaum was their savior, and Rashbaum did so terrible. And we heard on tape how both Charlie and Donna were singing Rashbaum's praise of what a great job he did, and it was basically all the knuckleheads on the jury there, the fifth grade type mindset and sophistication, intelligence of the jurors there, and they just got caught up in this Dateline movie type special that Georgia presented that made them look guilty, and it wasn't based on any evidence. So that's what they're going to try to blame it on. So I do think that if they don't get this case transferred out to Tallahassee, I think Donna's going to be really mad. She's going to be even madder at her trial. She's going to be even madder at the judge. And when Wendi testifies, what do y'all think how she's going to react? When Wendi comes in there, mom's been rotting away in this nasty jail cell, eating this nasty food, gained about, 40, 50 pounds in the last 21 months. It'll be over 21 months, when she testifies. And there's Wendi coming into court, flying in from Texas. She's going to be seething mad at Wendi. After all, she did this for Wendi, and Wendi comes in there and acts like she's got nothing to worry about because she's going to fly back home, and she wants nothing to do with her toxic mom. Yeah, Shannon, the date's 19th of August. Yeah, well, we did hear Tattletales, you're saying Donna's not going to be angry at Wendi. Wendy's annoyed at Donna for putting Wendi at risk. No, Donna is mad. If you heard her, she wouldn't give advice on anything about settling up with trying to go to Vietnam and whatever. She's been ghosting her mom more and more every year, every time she has to testify. Now she's just completely cut her off ever since she got arrested. So you have questions now? I'll go ahead and answer some questions. How many of y'all are new to this case? I'm just curious. I see a lot of familiar names here. Any of y'all new from joining on the Kieran Reed case? Yeah, so Wendy's testimony, if she testifies like this in Donna's trial, which I think they're going to ask her even more pointed questions, it's looking really bad for Donna. It looks like it's a family affair, that Donna was the one that helped motivate Charlie to go find the right people to do this. But when you stop to think about how all this got manipulated and instigated, it's like you look at Wendi as like the instigator for this. She was the main benefactor. She's the one that got information on Dan's schedule. Also the week when she was down there. the early part of July, she asked Dan through text whether he's going to be there the 5th, what is it, the 14th through the 18th of July. And so it's like, it makes it look like the planning was in the works and she was making the confirmation of his whereabouts so that the hitman didn't have to go up there for a wasted trip. So yeah, there is so much evidence against her. So most all of it's circumstantial, but even that against Charlie was circumstantial and he got convicted. Circumstantial evidence is great. It's hard to manipulate. If you have an eyewitness, that person's memory can be attacked. Their vision can be attacked. Their bias can be attacked. Their credibility in general is you can attack. But when you got the defendant themselves doing all this crazy behavior indicative of a guilty conscience, that conscience of guilt evidence carries a lot of weight with juries. Keep in mind, it's not an interrogation, Larissa. It was only an interview. And an interrogation is when they have the evidence to pin someone down. You're trying to get them to confess. So they did not have enough evidence to make this a interrogation. I think if they would have done interrogation on her, she would have invoked and went away to go see her lawyer again. But keep in mind, she's had a lawyer this whole time, John Lauro. Dr. Latina, what do you think of the slip of the tongue with Garcia last year? Stated that he heard about Dad's travel schedule from a blonde woman. Said he corrected himself and said the blog. Yeah, that was a moment that the jury even laughed. That was not Garcia. That was Luis Rivera that testified. We've not heard from Sigfredo Garcia, the actual trigger puller, in any of these trials. But yeah, that was he didn't know what a blog meant. So the defense counsel, Rajman, was trying to insinuate that he could have gotten Dan's trial schedule by looking at his blog to say where he was traveling. His, I guess, Facebook blog or something like that, or his website blog, Prof blog was a website. So I think that Luis Rivera didn't know what a blog was. So he thought Rajman was talking about the blonde instead of the blog. So yeah, that was pretty funny. Kendall, yes, true and final justice for Dan Markell will only come if Wendi is prosecuted and convicted. I agree. Sonny San Clemente, you're asking, do I think Wendy's being watched? Like Don and Harvey no, they weren't being watched closely enough because it took an acquaintance, a friend of the Adelsons down there in Florida to report them as about to flee the country. So don't know what kind of mechanism they have in place to flag Wendi trying to flee the country if she does that. Lauren Crime, assuming Wendi was planning to break up with Jeff and potentially setting him up, why do you think that she would confide in Jeff that Charlie had actually looked into hiring a hitman? I think she wanted to leave breadcrumbs out there, so if it came back on anybody, it would of the conspirators, it would come back on her brother, not her. So I think that's why she was leaving those things out there. She could also have been doing it just to see how Jeff reacts and whatnot. So There's any number of motives to say that, but I think most likely is that she was he thought Jeff would keep it a secret, and if she ever got prosecuted, she would think Jeff would maybe, be at her defense and say, no, she's actually worried about her brother or something like that. She didn't think he would do it, but anyway. That's a smart thing. If they let this go beyond, let her get back to Texas. I mean, why aren't they ready to go on arresting and prosecuting her? No idea. It's just so baffling that they wait this long. They don't need her testimony to convict Donna. Camel Cass, that's a good point. The only truth Wendi says that she didn't divorce Dan, he'd still be alive. River Birch, Luis Rivera said the hit was for Wendi and he seemed credible. Yes, he did. Mary James, could it be they're concerned about what happened to the kids? So I assume you're referring to why they haven't prosecuted Wendi yet. So what about Katie McBanois and Sigfredo Garcia? They had 2 kids between them, and they tried them both for the death penalty in the first trial. So why would they be concerned about the Adelson sons, but not the trigger pullers and the middle person's children? So no, prosecutors don't delay that and let them live out a life being raised by a murder suspect. That's not a valid reason not to prosecute. Jane Kreisman, she's named co-conspirator in Florida. Why isn't the FBI involved for her crossing state lines? Well, she didn't cross any state lines, so this is all being done in Florida. But the feds could have stepped in and prosecuted if they wanted to, because there's enough connection to interstate commerce that the feds could have gotten involved and had jurisdiction to prosecute. But somebody needs to prosecute this case against remaining Adelsons. Timothy Smith, Georgia said publicly, you'll never know what a good defense attorney will come up with. So she wants an airtight case for when he's arrested. Well, they already do have an airtight case. They've had one for years. I've not heard Georgia say that, but it's like, well, then why would you, if you can't assess this case as a rock solid case against Wendi, then I would just say you don't have the skill set and have somebody else take over, or else you're not aggressive enough. Line of Judah, if Wendi doesn't testify, what would happen to her? Well, they would hold her in contempt of court. She doesn't have an option other than being held in contempt and being locked up there in Leon County until she does cooperate. Leslie Barrett, I don't know if I'll be doing a live stream during the day. I may just do a recap at night. There'll be a lot of other people doing the live stream of that, so I may just do the recap at night. And but that I may do it. I guess I haven't decided yet. And you know what? The trial may not kick off on August 19th. I still think there's a chance it could get continued. I think that whole issue of this follow-on investigation having to do with misconduct of Donna behind bars and supposedly using her communication devices of her lawyers, whether it be Apple Watch or cell phones, there could be some kind of fallout for that. Yeah, Cam, that's true. Florida gives this to Texas, and they'll prosecute Wendi without delay, but they can't do that. They have to go by jurisdiction. Yeah, I don't understand why they would let her go back to Texas, arrest her while she's there. I agree, Sonny and San Clemente, they need to ask her about the Holocaust ring directly. The jury will be sickened along with all of us. Deborah Ross, yes, the grooming of Katie. Well, Jeff Lacasse was also groomed, so they had a dual grooming session going on. So think about it. Charlie was grooming Katie to find the hitman, and they also needed a prime suspect. So that was another prime suspect. So what happens? Because think about it. They don't want to make Katie a suspect because she's the one actually finding the hitman. So it was better for Wendi to find someone that could be a fall guy. And so they're thinking Jeff Lacasse is going to be the patsy for this. And how beautiful she thought it was unfolding, where he's going to be going by close to the house on that Friday that the hitmen were coming by. Maybe why do you think they're not prosecuting her? I just think it's just a bad tactical decision, and I think they definitely are going to prosecute her. We've heard from the lead prosecutor, Jack Campbell. One of his friends is a former prosecutor down there in Miami. Aaron, I forget his last name, but he's been on Megyn Kelly, and he says he thinks that, without being told this by his friend Jack Campbell, that he thinks they're going to prosecute Wendi next. So why would you let it go on any longer than that after Donna gets convicted? So don't get it. The evidence is there. Lack of confidence politics or something like that is the only reason she hasn't been prosecuted yet. Yeah, they would all been convicted together, all the Adelsons, if they had hauled them in. I just don't get it. Is there some additional evidence that came out, like the fleeing to Vietnam and stuff like that, by going after them one at a time? But you didn't need that kind of evidence to get a conviction. So think about it. It's been 11 years since a murder, and they've only gotten one Adelson convicted so far. It is shocking. Sonny, well, we heard that John Laurel was telling Wendi that the last trial with her, the one that has just been shown, that she did terrible on the witness stand. We heard that was set out in the parking lot. So Brendan Werbach, what is a smoking gun against what? Please don't use all caps. It's an eye strain if certain people do that. So please don't do that again, Brandon, or anybody else. Normally I'm going to not answer your question, and you may get your comment deleted. So I don't recognize your name from any time before. So anyway, look at all the indicators on this web channel. The 100+ indicators of Wendi's involvement, that'll tell you. I'm planning on rolling out another one before Donna's trial. Otto, you're confused about the immunity Wendy has. It's just statutory. Everybody has it if you're subpoenaed by the state. Anything you say on the witness stand is protected as long as the state calls you. If the defense counsel calls you as a witness, then you're not protected by this immunity statute. But if you're called by the state, anything you say, you have immunity for as long as you don't lie. So if you're involved in a murder and you're called as a witness by the state, you have to tell the truth. If you don't tell the truth, then the state can prove it. They could charge you not only with the underlying offense of murder, but they could also charge you with perjury. So anything that the witness says in court, for example, if Wendy got up there and says, you know what, I'm guilty, my whole family's guilty, none of that could be used in the subsequent prosecution of Wendy. Unless she lied about something other than that admission she gave. But so yeah, it's this immunity really doesn't stop her at all from being prosecuted because they have enough independently obtained information, not from Wendy. Wendy has not implicated herself through any kind of direct statement of her involvement and guilt, for example. So she's making all these excuses, making all these lies. Never once she says, oh yeah, I was a part of this murder plot, right? So hopefully that clears it up for you. This immunity statute does not prevent somebody from being charged with the underlying offense. In this case, for Wendy, it's murder. Or as Jensen, I do think Wendy's more nervous this time because this last trial, I think Georgia really pressed some buttons that she didn't the first time. No, Katie has a chance of them reducing her life sentence if she cooperates against Donna like she did against Charlie, and then if they use her against Wendy, I think that's a chance they could maybe give her life with parole. Pam and Rosa, do I think that boys will be reunited with the Markells? There's that chance. Who will be their guardians given Mr. Adelson's age, mental status? They're very fit. Wait, you said Mr. Adelson. Well, that's not going to be with Harvey, but hopefully the boys will have a chance to be reunited with people that really love them, the Markells. Life path. Yeah, I think she's got to be nervous. I don't think she's a nervous wreck. I think she's, spending all this money and whatever. But I think in her mind, she's thinking she's going to beat it. Even if Donna gets convicted, I think she's thinking, I'm gonna beat this. I'm gonna beat this. She's convinced herself she's above this. Charlotte, you're also asking about her immunity from testifying over all these years. Everything she said in these trials is not going to be used against her unless it's a lie. Then they can charge her with perjury and have it all come in at that point. But you don't need any of her testimony from these trials to convict her. You don't need the lie about that she didn't drive down on Trescott at all to convict her of her involvement in this. So this is not her testimony is not preventing them from prosecuting her at all. Okay, Brandon, thanks. No worries. I didn't know other channels asked that distinguished questions. Use red emojis. If you have a question for my channel, please use the red emojis, the question mark for red emojis, because that's when I know it's easier for my eyes to pick out a question versus people just do an internal conversation. Thanks, Sonny. And Cam, that's nice, y'all. Scooby Snack. Donna won't control herself. Her disdain is too big. Yeah, I mean the hatred of anything having to do with Markel's is so pervasive. That's going to help do her in. I think having I don't know why they don't call. Why don't they call like Phil Markell or Ruth Markel in the case in chief for the prosecution, and just see Donna just seething in hatred? I mean that would be a smart move, I would think. But they're not calling any of the Markells in the prosecution case in chief. Yeah, so the plan is to cover it daily, whether it's if I cover the whole live stream during the day and then what am I going to do? Not do anything at night? I guess I'll have John there and we can talk about stuff, but I think I'd rather probably just do a recap at night. And not replay everything. I know for Karen Reed, I replayed everything, but I think this one's this is so much a repeat of Charlie's trial. I don't think I need to do that full day testimony. Maybe I'll jump in and do a couple of live streams, like when Wendy's testifying. Go live on that one. Donna will testify, and she's able to testify. Okay. Neverly, well, I don't. that's a lot of coverage during the day afterwards. Yeah, and do stuff like talk about Dan's achievements, and oh, she'll be so mad. Bring up Harvard, that he went to undergrad and law school at Harvard. Here, yeah, that's maybe you heard about me from Charlie's joke calls when he rails about your commentary. That's when I knew I had to follow you. Well, yeah, I was on the local radio station there in Tallahassee, and he was being hauled in the van there from the jail to the courthouse, and he heard me talk about how this was like a great production, and it was like a movie production quality of showing all the evidence against him, and that's I think why was talking about this is like a Dateline special against him. And so anyway, it was interesting. I think he called me. I think he didn't. He said Steinbeck. I think he might have mixed up my brother's name, John, with mine or something like that. But anyway, yeah, and he's been saying that. He was saying that for days afterwards. How this is nothing but a production. That the jurors are a bunch of knuckleheads. In essence, they didn't listen to the evidence. All they watched was the movie like Dateline type special that Georgia argued and presented in the closing. In other words, he thought he won the case up until the closing. The closing just made everything fall apart because the jury just was all caught up in that video production, instead of looking at the evidence that came out during the actual trial. Jane Kreisman, this time last year, predicted when to be arrested by the end of July. What do you think went wrong? Well, I've been saying that for longer than July. I've been saying they need to get their show on the road, get their act together, and get this thing prosecuted. So I was trying to accurately encourage and incentivize them to do the right thing. There's no reason this thing should be lasting this long. And then keep in mind they've also had things that have fallen apart on them, like they've had the lack of them blocking Rashomon from representing Donna. That was a massive drop by the prosecution. They didn't understand the law on that. They should have asked the judge and explained to the judge, hey, this is why you can't go from representing Donna as a suspect to Charlie as an actual accused in a murder trial, and then go back to Donna. Having a conflict between those two key players. And so they should have bounced Rashbaum from the get-go off of Charlie's case, knowing that they intended to prosecute Donna as well. But anyway, it's just a classic case of the lawyers not understanding the law. Did Rashbaum understand the law and intentionally go around it? Did the prosecution, the whole team, prosecution team and whole office didn't understand the law of conflicts? The judge didn't understand the law of conflicts. And if you recall, there was a press conference by Jack Campbell, the head state attorney prosecutor there in Tallahassee, and he said they had no ability to interfere with who somebody hires as a lawyer. And I said he doesn't even know Supreme Court case law, Supreme Court of the United States, that gives authority of judges to remove lawyers if there's such a conflict that it deprives the defendant of conflict-free counsel, that the judge can order them off the case. And the case I cited a few days later, Judge Everett used that exact same case and said, nope, I'm getting rid of all you defense lawyers that have been representing Donna. So anyway, it's a lack of energy, I guess, lack of confidence, a number of things. So if Jack Campbell just unleashes Georgia and Sarah to say, hey, go after all the rest of the Adelsons, that's all it would take. Yeah, Obsidian and one lawyer cannot defend two co-conspirators. I mean, that's a no-brainer to me. So that's part of the reason this whole thing got delayed, is that these prosecutors just don't even understand conflicts. And I didn't want to advertise a conflict Rashomon had with Charlie when he was representing Charlie, because I don't want to create that as an appellate issue. And it is an appellate issue. He's going to make an appellate issue at a later point in time. Beverly Baloney, you're asking, am I going to go to the trial? Well, John's going to be there most of the trial, I think, except for maybe some of the first couple days. And Leslie and I plan on going there to hear the closing. Just like I went for Charlie's closing, we're going to go there for the closing on this one. It works out with our schedule. Tattletales, does anyone's attorney actually think they're innocent? Do you mean that generically, or are you talking about an Adelson here? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Isabella Park, you think it's going to be Wendi? Judicial system moves slowly, and we need to get Donna out of the way first, and it'll be Harvey. Yeah, this is I guess like a fisherman's sporting shirt I got at Academy Sports. Yeah, these are like sharks. These are sharks on here. They need to have a shark feeding frenzy around the guilty parties, around those responsible for Dan Markell's murder. I thought I saw somebody say they like my pajamas. So I don't know if I should wear this shirt again. Trial channel. How long do you think this trial will last? Same as Charlie's. I think it could last a couple days more, maybe not longer than that. It all depends how aggressive the lawyers are, how much they object. Rasham didn't object too much in the beginning, but they sort of started doing that more as the trial went on. But it's sort of funny, though, interesting the way these lawyers are just completely have lost all zeal and zest to represent Donna. They look like they just weren't even there. And I think it has to do something with them realizing the FBI was listening to them, letting Donna use their phones or Apple Watches, however that works. Assuming that's the truth. If that really happened, it's just got to be like they got this huge cloud of like, oh my gosh, what could we get in trouble for this? Could we get prosecuted for something? Or are we going to get in trouble at the state bar? I think they got to have a lot of anxiety, and they're focused on how are we going to come out unscathed from this trial. Irene, you're saying, do I think Georgia will take the gloves off when Wendi goes on trial like DeCoste scorched earth through at Katie's trial? Well, Chris DeCoste, I think that's how you say the name. Not similar to Jeff Lacasse. It's, you got a lot of names similar, but it's DeCoste, he did not really take the gloves off on Wendi. He did in terms of some of the questioning, but a lot of the stuff he left a lot of stuff there on the table that he could have questioned him on. So in some ways, I was like encouraged by what he was saying about Wendi. Like he's saying, it's all about you and things like that. But he left so many details that he never followed up on. Yeah, Kimmy, they need to arrest Wendi already. So if Wendi is going to testify against mom's got to be so mad about this. And when she finds out that they can seat a jury in Tallahassee, she's not going to be able to get this transfer venue to some other place like Miami. Will she actually be smart enough and say, you know what, I'm not going to go to trial. This Tallahassee jury is going to convict me just like Charlie. Why don't I cut some kind of deal? Give me 5-10 years and I'll flip on Wendi. Would she even have that conversation with the lawyers? August 19th is the trial. Yeah, they have Donna fatigue. They're completely beat down having to answer all of the demands of Donna. Yeah, Ruben Mockin, author, if Donna's verdict is guilty, will that open an immediate door to arrest of Wendi Adelson or Harvey Adelson? It should. They should arrest them both. I mean, you shouldn't need that. But keep in mind, if Charlie's case was a hung jury, the state attorney's office would not have prosecuted any more Adelson. They may not even have re-prosecuted Charlie. And that was such a slam dunk win. That's what I've been saying on this channel the whole 2.5 years. Like, this is an easy win, slam dunk. He's not going to get convicted. I mean, he's going to get convicted. Sorry, I was thinking about Karen Reed. I've been saying to Karen Reed, there's no way she's going to be convicted of murder. And then when I saw the actual evidence in detail at the trial level for the second trial, I've been saying all along, they have no case here. ARCA witnesses, blow them out of the water, and the prosecution, that is. So this one here for Donna is going down as well. There's no doubt about it. And I don't think she's going to cut a deal. I think she's going to go to trial, and she's going to wind up convicted just like Charlie. And then where do you go from there? Ruben, you're saying you think most of us following case know Sarah Dugan's opening and Georgia Kappelman's closing by heart would both be different at Donna Adelson's trial? I think they'll do the same. One does the opening, the other one does the closing. Obviously, they'll tweak a little bit for this case here because they got fleeing the country type evidence against Donna. Also, her efforts to obstruct justice by trying to use jailhouse folks to do some of her dirty work, dirty dealings. And we don't know a lot of details on that, but we'll find that out in court. They've been sealing court records, so we just don't see those kind of details. Miss Peachy Keen, yeah, that was wasn't that awful? Listening to sweet Phil Markell. And I met him down there in Tallahassee, and he's such a great guy. What a wonderful grandfather, man! If everybody could have a grandfather like him, what a better world this place would be. What a great job he did raising his son and his daughter, along with his wife Ruth. Tanya Bluebell, you said in previous video, I said defense was misrepresenting things at the last hearing. I think you said it's because Donna keeps committing new crimes behind bars, impacting the trial prep. What I was saying is that it's like they're complaining that they got to keep up to speed on all this new evidence coming out. Well, the new evidence has to do with their client Donna committing crimes in jail, or that's the allegation. So that's why they're having to do more legwork before this trial, do more depositions and whatnot. They're trying to find out how much is there on Donna's involvement in committing new crimes. So really, it's not the prosecution sandbagging them. It's their client committing new crimes that's forcing them to have to jump through new hoops to discover how much there is of that against your client. And then they're going to try to do a motion to keep it out, I'm sure. Irene, how much do I think an estimate of the Adelson spending on lawyers during this case? I mean, you're talking about I'd say a couple $1 million when you're talking about, let's see, Rashbaum getting money over the years, building up his ongoing representation of Donna, and then representing Charlie at trial, and then gearing up to represent Donna at her trial. That would have been, he would have gotten a flat fee, I believe, on all that work once he knew that they were charged. I mean, you're talking about probably minimum 1.75 million for Rashbaum alone. And then to do the appeal for Charlie, you're probably looking at gosh, what would that be? 5 to 600,000 minimum, maybe 750. Not sure what they would charge for something like this, but lawyers are going to charge more if they know the client's got the money. So let's just put that at roughly 2.25 million. And then if you look at what Wendy's been spending on her lawyer, I estimate she's probably been spending 150,000 over the years. And then you had to hire these new lawyers, 2 new lawyers to represent Donna because Rajmam got bounced. So that's probably another million there. And then you're going to need a appellate lawyer for Donna. So you're probably talking, let's just say for this current tag team of lawyers, Zellman and Fulford, maybe they're collecting 1.2 between them. So maybe 3.6 million. Is this a wild guess of mine so far between all the Adelsons? And that's not including the couple 100,000, probably 300,000 Wendy spent fighting it. So that's probably 3.9 million total doing that. And keep in mind, they're going to have to come up with money when Wendy's arrested and Charlie too. Leslie B, that's what I'm coming up with. Like, I'm guessing high threes, 3.9 million. Thanks, Leslie. You enjoyed watching the show on Vinny with Vinny and Joel. Yeah, I know I'd said I was so disappointed in the way the Court TV had that Julie Grant trashing Karen Reed that I didn't want to deal with Court TV anymore. But after talking it over with Leslie and John, decided to go ahead and go on Vinny's channel at least, because this is bringing good coverage for the Adelsons' cause, their plight for justice. That's a good point, Leslie B. Phil Markell's victim impact statement is what made Sarah Youssef come forward. That's true. Leslie Barrett, the new crimes supposedly are things involving doing some kind of harm, We don't know what kind of harm that is, but some kind of harm to even Rob Adelson, Dr. Rob Adelson, Donna's eldest son up in the Northeast. And also Katie McBanwell doing some harm to her, as well as the mother of a jailhouse snitch on her. That's what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, Cam, thank you. I forgot the jury consultants. Yeah, those guys are probably $1 million as well. So yeah, you're talking about 4.9 million roughly. We know at one point they had over 8 million. But that's what I've been saying. It's like if they didn't have all this money, if they're dealing with public defenders or lawyers that knew they didn't have a lot of money in the bank, this thing would have happened so much quicker. They probably would all cut deals and they would have been out after serving maybe 40 years, 30, 40 years among the Adelsons. The elderly ones, Harvey and Donna, could have gotten off something lighter than that, maybe been out in 12 to 15. But by having all this money at their disposal, lawyers is going to say, hey, I'll fight for you. Give me $1 million. I'll fight for you. Let's go beat this rap. Amazingly true. Can Donna be charged with trying to hurt and bribe people in jail after Dan's trial? You know, she could, but she's going down on murder, conspiracy to commit murder. So they're not going to mess with that. Yeah, Leslie B. Yeah, there's some artwork that supposedly was going to be given to a jailhouse conspirator with Donna to do something to help Donna maybe testify and say something against Katie McBanois. We don't know any of those details. They have not shared them in any of the court filings. Haptic frequencies. No, they're not going to try to bring new charges from the new investigation that you're already. I mean, you're talking about Charles a month away. They're not going to add new charges. That would be too much throwing a wrench into things. All right, looking for a few more questions here. It's 11:41. Already see a couple of super stickers. Please, I do not need to have you guys do that. Leslie and I are doing fine, but thanks for your gesture. I was saying before you give your money to Karen Reed, I think I heard that they shut down that supporting web page. Irene, if the Wendy's arrested and convicted, do the Markells automatically get the boys? That'd be up to the state. They're in Texas now, so the state of Texas would decide. Child support services. They try to place it with a relative first. That's sort of the generic go-to normal operating procedure. Tattletale, Sarah was a friend of Wendi. Wendi asked Sarah to speak for her at social media, saying she believed she was innocent. Sarah couldn't do it. Sarah's a public defender. I don't think I recalled that Sarah was a public defender, that part of it, but yes, Sarah is now a state witness. She's going to be able to testify that Donna referred to Dan as a jerk shortly after he was murdered. William S. These defense lawyers take the Adelson's money and tell them what they want to hear, even though the defense lawyers know they really stand a chance. But money talks and lawyers love it. Piggy Doo, you're hoping that you feel badly for the boys. Hope they never feel responsible anyway. Yeah, I hope they don't either. Wow. Yeah, so we're going to Crime Con. Leslie and I will be going to Crime Con. John will be at the trial. Not sure how those things will intersect, and maybe John will make it to Crime Con as well. But I tell you that it's very expensive to get in there. It's like $435 a person, unless you volunteer. If you're to volunteer, then you can get in, I think, for free. I don't know how much you have to volunteer to get in for free, but Yeah, caffeine doesn't affect me. A little misread. Yes, I think Wendy could flee the country, go someplace no extradition after she's testified, and that's one of the reasons they need to make sure she doesn't leave Tallahassee. Yeah, Kimmy, what a fallen family, such a fall from grace. It is really sad. Brandon, you're studying for the LSAT. Any advice? Wow. LSATs, we're not really, I don't think any correlation to how you'll be as a lawyer. It's just a bunch of logic games. It's like a rite of passage. They're just trying to make stuff difficult for people that don't, to try to weed them out, to not make them interested in going to law school. That's all I think it is. And so I can't remember anything about it where I can give you any advice on how to study for it. I guess just go to some of those prep courses. Okay. Get off YouTube and study. Okay. Yeah, get enough sleep. Okay, Leslie B, you paid $400 for your pass, but use the code Quorum, get 10% off. You paid, so is that, are you talking about for the upcoming one in Denver? Or are you talking about the last one in Nashville? Yeah, that's for the whole event, the 430 some bucks. But yeah, that's a lot of money. Don't know about Karen Reed's attorneys being at Crime Con. Looks like Lynn Adams. Since my husband passed away a year ago, this channel has brought me a lot of joy and comfort each night. Being with everyone in the chat keeps me from being as sad as I would normally be. Well, I'm sorry for your loss of your husband. That must be really hard to deal with. And glad we can help you have some joy and comfort each night. KPT, you're saying Defense Divers has a 20% off code. Yeah, I'm not sure about how they do that. Lauren, crime, how harmful to defend do you think it is when the jury sees no family support? And do you think Harvey will come to Donna's trial to show his support? I think Donna's going to order him there, but I think he's going to be scared to no end. All right, let's see here. Yeah, imagine Sir Tedrick Walker. What could have been is what really is. One of the things for Brandon, who's studying for the LSATs, I always ask people, "What are you going to law school for? What's your motive?" And so, some people I talk out of going to law school. If I don't think they have the right framework of motivation and goals and all that kind of stuff, a lot of people midlife, they're 50s. They think, "Hey, I don't want to be a lawyer. I want to go to law school." I'm like, I'm not sure you want to go down that road. Hope for peace. Thanks for your work as an ER doctor. That's great. If a person admits to a crime while under sedation, can it be used in court? Well, I would say if somebody does that while they're treating them, then that's something that would be state specific. I know they have laws of HIPAA, client confidentiality, and stuff like that, or patient confidentiality, but have someone admitting to a crime around other people, I think that could be admissible. And the sedation aspect could be an issue that is brought up as how reliable it is. So that would be for a judge to decide. Why does that come up in your work there in the ER? Yeah, Harvey's really transformed as much as Donna. They both are really aged. I mean, this kind of stress has got to age them really fast. Hope for peace. A lot in the ER, especially domestic violence. And that's interesting. I take it you're in the United States somewhere. Leslie, yeah, we live not too far from Wendi, probably an hour. She's in the Austin area. That's like an hour away. I don't know where in Austin she lives, but assuming she still lives there. Okay, you're in California. Yeah, law school's not fun. I did not like it at all. There's some good aspects of it where you learn some stuff, but a lot of it's not really good. I don't think a good training ground. I think they're all that way. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here tonight. Thanks for everyone supporting the cause of justice for the Markell family. Keep in mind, this has been 11 years ago. They've had to live with this horrible, horrible thing that's done to their one and only son, and they still don't have justice. There's not going to be justice until Donna's convicted and Wendy's convicted as well. And they should also target Harvey. So we'll see what happens, but more to follow. And not sure if I'm going to do something tomorrow night. Today's Saturday night. It's almost midnight. So we'll see about covering tomorrow night, but I'll try to give out additional notice more than an hour or so if I'm going to go live stream. So if we do a live stream, I'll probably be covering the same case as well. So y'all be safe. Have a good one. Good night.